Hello, hello, Alden Alternate here. Welcome to the International Women's Day Global Summit. So exciting to have you here. We have the amazing organizer of this event, over 20 speakers today, coming to you live on a few different places online, on Facebook and on YouTube. You can see this today on the Mums in Business page on Facebook, and you can also see it on Media Queen TV on YouTube and on my profile as well. So we're going to be streaming all day with amazing guest speakers, 20 speakers, phenomenal ladies, and one man for the first time at this event. And Melissa, I'd love to hear from you now how you came about putting this together and why you're doing this event today.
Thank you, Aldwin. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here and to help bring incredible women to share their knowledge and their wisdom, their life lessons and experiences, who have made them into the incredible women. And for the very first time at our International Women's Day Summit, we have a male speaker as well, because it is all about balance and to have gender equality. We probably should have had 10 male speakers and 10 women speakers. So maybe we'll have to rethink that next year, Aldwin. But really, yes. Really, International Women's Day is about celebrating women's achievements. And the reason I do this is because I realize that through the power of us sharing our story and our message, it can change someone's life. It can even save their life. Aldwin and I work in this industry where we help people to share their message with the world. We've been around incredible speakers who have inspired us to make that little change, to give us some hope, to give us some inspiration, to move forward, to really just step into our power and to express ourselves, to be that true leader that we were born to be. So this year, International Women's Day theme is Choose to Challenge. So a challenge world is an alert world, and individually we are all responsible for our own thoughts and actions all day and every day. We can all choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. We can all choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievements, which is what we're doing here today. Collectively, we can all help to create an inclusive world. From challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. Raise your hand high. Let me put it in the screen. Raise your hand high to show that you are in and that you commit to choose to challenge and call out inequality. Strike the Choose to Challenge pose and share this on social media using the hashtag Choose to Challenge and the hashtag International Women's Day 2021 to encourage further people to commit to helping forge an inclusive world. Yes, International Women's Day is officially the 8th of March, but any day in March we can celebrate women, or any day in the year we can celebrate women. Today we not only celebrate women and their achievements, but are providing this platform for women and our male to share their story, their message, their knowledge and wisdom, to give you hope and inspire you by what they share. So thank you for joining us.
Yay. Thank you so much. And we've got already Rebecca saying good morning. Good morning. We have Sandra here. Good morning, Sandra. Dena, hello, hello. So as you chat today, we're going to be able to share your comments on the screen. So we'd love this to be interactive today. So please keep those comments coming. Share lots of love with our amazing speakers coming up today. Just very quickly how it will roll. We're going to be going till 12:30 Queensland time, 1:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, Sydney time till 1:30 this morning for the morning session, or till 12:30 Sydney time for the morning session, and then at 1:30 Sydney time, which is 12:30 Queensland time, we'll be starting the afternoon session till 4 p.m. Queensland time or 5 p.m. Sydney time. Hope that made sense. So basically we're going 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Sydney time, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Queensland time, and there will be a 1 hour break in between. And I'll be moderating along with Melissa today. We've got a panel show this afternoon, starting out the afternoon session, and some phenomenal speakers. And I'm not going to announce them all now, but stay tuned and you will see them all. Hello, Juanita. Good to see you. Good morning. So now I'll hand it back to you, Melissa. We have our amazing first speaker from Sydney coming up very shortly. So I will make you full screen now, and we will then bring our beautiful guest speaker on shortly. I'll let you introduce her. So back to you, Melissa. Congratulations, by the way, for putting this amazing event together. What a phenomenal lineup and such a great celebration for women. We have the Choose to Challenge hashtag there. So as you're watching this, what are you choosing to challenge in your personal life or in the community? You know, I stand for truth and good news. I'm passionate about helping to decrease depression, anxiety, and suicide rates through more good news in the mass media. That's what I stand for. What do you stand for? What are you challenging out in the community or in your own personal life? Pop into the comments. Love to hear from you. All right, over to you, Melissa, and here's to an awesome day ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Baldwin. So up first, we have our amazing keynote speaker, Alisa James. Alisa James is an international performer with over 30 years worldwide experience. She's started out as an acrobatic dancer, an actor, and a trapeze artist at a very young age. She eventually switched to singing full-time and relocated from Australia to Europe in 1995 with a recording contract. After 20 more years of touring, recording, and performing all over Europe and the USA, Alisa recently moved back to Australia. She now appears regularly on TV and film as an actor and presenter, and is booked as a speaker for live events. Alisa loves sharing her passion for the voice and is an expert in the psychology behind your vocal sound, uncovering the mental, physical, and emotional blocks that affect speaking. Alisa holds a master's degree in voice and a master's in holistic health, and teaches vocal mastery and vocal maintenance workshops from all professional voice users. So please welcome Alisa James. We'll get her into the green room.
Thank you very much. Hi, nice to be here. Thank you so much for asking me. Hi, it's an absolute pleasure. And this has been such a journey for me. Today, I want to speak about you and your voice and how you're sharing that with the world. I have a saying that I've used with my students for a very long time, and it's called change your voice, change your life. And I didn't really realize the impact of that statement when I was younger growing up, because I didn't have a voice of leadership back then. In fact, I never dreamed that I'd be a woman in business or a women's empowerment coach or a voice coach that helped women and men find their true, authentic voice of confidence. I had no idea, because I grew up in a very unconfident state and very much validating from the outside for a very long period of time. I realized later in my life that the reason that I got into entertainment industry was purely because I needed that external validation. And when you think about the way the entertainment industry is actually formulated, we all go out there and expect good reviews or a standing ovation or something to be printed or shared or whatever. That's why I believe that a lot of professional entertainers, actors, singers, entertainers go into depression and anxiety, especially when they finish their career or they step out of it. It's almost like you lose your identity. So I had to really look deep within with all the changes that happened in my life to figure out, okay, who was I? What sort of voice did I want to step into? What was my voice of confidence? What was my authentic voice? I had no idea, because I grew up in a world, like many of us, where children are seen and not heard. I grew up in a patriarchal society. And I think that many other people here have probably also grown up in a patriarchal society. So a lot of us have heard these things like children should be seen and not heard. I also heard phrases like, nice girls don't say that. Nice girls don't wear that. Nice girls don't yell. And then the all-powerful statement that I was told when I was, or asked rather, when I was a teenager was, why don't you go to secretarial school like your cousins? Why don't you go to secretarial school and get a real job like your mother did? Because in those days, a real job was a girl's job. It wasn't a job necessarily that I wanted to do, but it was a girl's job that was more accepted. So I learned to sit down and be quiet, like so many other students of mine who've gone through this. But what happens when we do that, especially as girls, it sort of leads us down the very, very wrong road of being shut down even more. If we take that sit down and shut up and be quiet, if we take that, it leads to a few really awful things that can happen in your life. And I've seen this in myself, and I've seen it in my students. What happened to me when I got shut down over and over and over again is, yes, at first I was submissive. Yes, at first I was quiet. But then what happens when you're doing that? I think for a very long time, I walked around with a sign on my head, and the sign said, bully me, pick on me, step on me, walk all over me, because I'm not worthy of having a voice and being heard. That's literally what I must have been giving out to people. I was giving out that signal because of the way that I was speaking. I wasn't speaking with strength and confidence and conviction. I was speaking like a little mouse. Because women spoke with very quiet voices. If you were feminine, you spoke with a very quiet voice. You had certain jobs. You wore certain clothes. You turned up in a certain way. This did not work for me. It was such an aggravation. It's almost like, the grit in the oyster. When you have something really yummy in your mouth and there's a grit or a piece of shell, it was like that. It was that little niggly feeling that something wasn't right. So what happened is I went the full circle. I went from being quiet and shy and submissive to ended up being overly loud, aggressive, combative, defensive, attacking. Now, that didn't work either. I still wasn't happy. It took me a very long time to realize that it's got nothing to do with male or female here. It's got to do with what's right for me. What is my energy that I need to bring to the table? What is that? And it certainly wasn't being shy, a wallflower, just being stepped on and bullied and abused. It wasn't that sign on my head that invited people to do that. It was something else. When I spoke with a very quiet voice, the things that happened to me were I got bullied a lot during school. I'm sure that a lot of people have. Now, I don't know why, but growing up in Australia, it's a very tough country. You end up learning how to be tough or learning how to be bashed. It was a very weird sort of polarity. I was one of the very quiet ones, so I got picked on all the time, and I got bullied and I got bashed, and eventually led to a lot of worse things in my life, simply because I didn't change the sound of my voice and I didn't stand my ground. I didn't want to take on that aggressive energy, but that's what happened when I got sick of being bullied. I ended up being like this. Then I spoke with aggression, and I spoke with a strong, harsh tone, and I even forced my voice lower than it should be into my throat like that, and ended up speaking like that for a very long time, because I felt that if I was that bossy pants, nobody would pick on me. I had so much tension. It was ridiculous. I had jaw tension. I held my jaw like this. I remember my husband saying to me years ago, unlock your fists, for God's sake, just breathe, unlock your fists. Because I would get so riled up for not having a voice, not being heard, not being seen, that created so many tension patterns. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I see this in my studio every day. Every day. It's either people who've grown up in a very same sort of society as I have, usually women over the age of 30 are my clients that have these issues, and they go one of two ways. They stay quiet and then they feel that they're still not being heard, and then they go the other way as that voice of aggression where they're pushing people away and building boundaries instead of bridges. We want to build bridges between us and the person that's listening to us. We want to have that vibration going backwards and forwards so the people that we speak to feel safe. They feel understood. They feel heard. You want to also feel safe and respected and valued and heard. And when we either speak from that underpowering, I call it two ways, underpowering the voice or overpowering the voice, neither way works. Been there, done that, written the t-shirt, well, designed the t-shirt, written the book. It absolutely doesn't work. And there's a reason why one of my catchphrases in my book is called Find Your Voice, because I didn't know all of this when I was growing up. So I would love to see or hear rather from anyone in the comments that feels like that they grew up in the same society. And I'd love to know, when you were growing up, did that develop for you an underpowered voice or an overpowered voice? And let's open up a conversation of what that did for your life. Because when I was being underpowered, I was being bullied. When I was being overpowered, I was having trouble with my relationships because that aggression and that defensiveness did not work. I was validating from the outside constantly and taking everything personally all the time. It doesn't work. It doesn't make you happy. So eventually I realized it's not necessarily the people's fault that I grew up with. They didn't know any better. They grew up in the same narrow world, the same narrow-minded world as me. So there was a point where I had to read books and start to do that transformation work, realizing I had to let go of blame and anger and criticism of myself and of others and stop being defensive and let down my guard. That took a very long time. I remember the very first book that I read was Dr. Scott Peck's The Road Less Traveled. And when I read that book when I was about 18 or 19, it did not compute at all. It was one of those books like Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer I'd been reading since I was 19, in one ear, out the other. It was there somewhere, lingering, but it wasn't actually in my muscle memory yet. I didn't learn it. 10 years later, when I was still having issues with relationships and family and bullying and marrying the wrong person, I realized I needed to read that book again. I read it all the way from Europe, where I was living at the time, all the way back to Australia, so I could prepare myself for getting back into that society that grew me, that informed me, that osmosis that I'd learned from my family and my friends. The second time I read that book, then I understood it. You know, sometimes we need those lessons to come up and up and up before we really get it. That's when I started to change things. And that took me on a journey of transformation where I did degree after degree after degree looking for the answers. And I went from that shy to the aggressive to finally letting go and finding my own voice of confidence, my own voice of leadership, so that I can now guide others and lead others to speak up and speak out and be heard. What I tell all of my clients is we need to speak with a strong, clear, and powerful voice. We need to show up in a society where a lot of us are still feeling like we're being shut down, sometimes by our relationships, sometimes by our boss. Sometimes we live in a world where the men get more say than the women. It still happens from now and then. But we as women don't need to start sounding like a man like I did. I had the voice of aggression. And when you do that, you just put up barriers. You're putting up barriers between you and the person that you're speaking to. Now, we don't have to react and respond in that judgmental and critical way. So what I wanted to share with you next are 4 words that really changed my life. This is what I learned from being in the entertainment industry for a very, very long time. And going through all of this behind the scenes, and nobody knew. Nobody had any idea how much I was suffering underneath and struggling with actually finding my voice. You see, I was an actor and a singer, and I could turn it on and be on stage and put my little performance hat on, but behind the scenes, there was this massive polarity. I wasn't being heard in my marriage. I wasn't being heard in my family. I really still didn't have a voice. It took me a very long time. So the way that I got my validation and I felt good was to be on stage and on camera, because that for me helped me be me. It helped me step into the me that I actually was and I actually wanted to be. I didn't know that at the time, that there was such a disconnect between my professional life and my personal life. So the four words that have really guided me through life are these, or rather phrases. 1 is honor the struggle, knowing that everything is difficult before it's easy, including speaking up for yourself and finding your voice. And I'll go into more of that in a moment. Number 2 is inspiration, being there for others so we can inspire them to some sort of action, and knowing that you can be inspired by other women and men around the world as well. Number 3 is learning resilience. No matter what happens, get back up again. There's a very, really good Japanese saying, I think, that says, fall down 7, get up 8. And I love that. How many times have we fallen down? We need to get back up. And the 4th one is rejection, facing rejection and making sure that the rejection we don't take personally, and we learn how to validate from the inside. So let me show you the parallels that I've drawn, because as a woman in the entertainment industry, I lived a very different life to most business women. I didn't grow up with business acumen. I had no idea how to do spreadsheets. I didn't know how to run a business. I was a singer, and I used to label myself as just a singer. Now, when I grew up and I knew nothing and I was that shy little person that didn't have a voice, I grew up in the Johnny Young Talent School in the safety of a group of 8 children, and we went all around Sydney and we did performances professionally in shopping centres, on TV shows, things like that. Now, I felt okay in the safety of the group. That's how I grew up, and I felt okay surrounded by other people where I felt like I could hide a little bit. But then came an opportunity that I had to say yes to, because I knew that if I wanted to grow, I had to get myself out of my comfort zone, and I had to struggle a little bit to become that butterfly. Just let me tell you a side story. Did you know that a caterpillar cannot fly if you cut it out of the cocoon? It needs to go through that struggle for days and days and days to grow enough strength in their wings to bring the oxygen and the blood flow to the wings, so when they finally get out of that cocoon, they can spread their wings and actually take flight. There's a very sad story about a man who felt so bad for the butterfly and the struggle he was going through that he snipped very carefully open the cocoon before that struggle took place, and the butterfly limped a few paces and then died. And that is so sad. We need to honor that struggle. We need to honor that growth that we go through. So when I was learning this and I got this opportunity, I said yes. Thank God I said yes. I don't know where I'd be without my yeses in my life. I was given the opportunity to become a lead singer in a 9-piece show band. Now, I was 17 years old and very underdeveloped, very naive, had no idea about anything back then. I had a job where I was actually supposed to be out the front with a microphone. Now, you can imagine, for the shyest, most insecure child in the world, that was a really, really hard task. So what I did to get through that first gig while I was honoring the struggle was I had to have 3 glasses of wine before I went on stage. And then I had a lot of trouble with my tummy and basically left a lovely trail of awkward smelling roses behind me as I walked to the stage because my tummy was so upset from so many glasses of wine. God knows how I sang, but I needed to be on that stage and I needed to conquer my fears. But when I got there, I was so nervous and anxious and humiliated about being out the front that I actually ended up going to the back of the stage and hid behind the horn players. And that's how I got through my first gig. Now, I think I did that more than once. I can't remember exactly, but I think I did more than once. Now, then I could sing a little bit and feel comfortable with the horn players, but then the song would stop and I would be mortified again because guess what I had to do next? I had to speak. God forbid, I had to actually open my mouth and say something intelligent between songs, and I'd freeze and hold my breath and then hand the microphone to the horn player. You say it. You say it. And then there's such a gap. There was such a silence that the horn player had to grab the microphone and go, and now what you would like to sing is the next song, blah, blah, blah. It was absolutely embarrassing. But what I learned is this. Every single time we go through a struggle, we learn how to get out of that. Every single time we practice getting out of our comfort zone, we will get better at it. So even in business was hard for me at first. Yes, I beat myself up saying men are successful, women are not. So therefore, I'm probably not smart enough to be a woman in business. How wrong was I? My business has grown immensely over the last 12 months. It's nothing to do with male or female. It's to do with yourself, your conviction, and your willingness to get yourself out of your comfort zone. And now I say yes to things that get me out of my comfort zone every single day. And tech and a new platform like this is one of my getting out of my comfort zone. So don't be afraid to say yes to something and then figure it out as you go. You will get better and you will get stronger. Number 2 is resilience. Everything I learned in business, I can apply to show business as well. So for instance, I learned resilience because in show business, we have a saying that I teach all of my clients because it is so important. And that is the show must go on regardless. Now, what happens, Melissa does this too. I teach on-camera confidence. We both do. And what happens to our clients? They don't want to show up. They don't want to get on camera. They want to hide. It feels safer. We make all sorts of excuses as to why we shouldn't show up or grow our business. Oh, I don't like the way I look on camera. I feel fat. I don't have a nice voice. I hate the sound of my voice. We make excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. I've done it too. I've gone, oh my God, my roots are not done. I better do that first before I go on camera. I've made every excuse under the sun. The bottom line is you just need to show up. It doesn't matter how you feel. It's got nothing to do with motivation. It's got to do with willpower and resilience. So I learned along the way from a very young girl when I was 12 years old. I learned resilience. And I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's this. It gave me the biggest inspiration of my life. So inspiration, this is where I got my first shot of inspiration as a child. I was doing baton twirling championships when I was very, very young. And I was traveling Australia, doing all these regional competitions and finally made it to the Australian finals. And I think it was held in Tasmania that year. So we were flown in a plane for the first time at 12 years old and flown to Tasmania to do our big baton twirling routine. And I was a soloist in this competition. And the girl that was up against me was incredible. She had the most incredible baton skills. I didn't. I was a showman. She had great baton skills, so I always watched her like a hawk because I knew she'd do so well. But here's the thing. When she got on stage, I had no idea. She was so nervous that she didn't drop the baton. She didn't forget her routine, but she would be throwing the baton up in the air and literally go, "Whoa," and then vomit at the side on the stage in the middle of her routine. And not once, not twice, but 3 times in a routine, in a 3-minute routine. She would keep going, keep smiling, and then vomit again. It was insane. But what I learned is this: if she can keep going and win, she was the winner of that competition, I can do it too. And I'm probably not going to vomit. I might shake, but I'm not going to vomit. It was one of the biggest inspirations of my life. And that taught me a lot. It taught me about resilience. If she can get up there and having those issues, I can too. So I really built resilience into my life big time, maybe a little too much. For instance, if I had once, well, actually more times, my friends used to call me car chaser. I had a bunch of car accidents. 3 of them were not my fault. The very first, when I was late for a tap dancing class, I literally ran across the road and didn't look. But here's where resilience came in. My whole life was dancing, singing, acrobatics, trapeze. It was all of that. And then suddenly my spine had fractures and my leg was broken. But I didn't realize that. Up in the ground, bam, on the ground, sitting there, not knowing what happened. And then suddenly I thought, I'm late for my tap dancing class. I literally jumped up and then tried to run on a broken leg and spinal injuries. And of course I couldn't, and I collapsed to the ground. And luckily one lady said, sit down, you're not going anywhere. That accident, that first accident, completely changed my life. It changed my life because I couldn't dance and acrobat anymore. I couldn't do the things that I was used to because of the pain. So then I became very resilient. And I thought, I'm not going to leave the entertainment industry. I'm going to stay here. There is a way. There's a will. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then I realized I could probably sing too. So I started singing more and more and more. And yes, it was difficult before. It was hard, but I knew I could stay in the industry and make it work. Now, I was very surprised years later to find out Doris Day did exactly the same thing. When you hear no, guys, when you get a rejection of some sort, you learn how to make that resilient, be resilient, show up and change that into a brand new opportunity, which I did. The last piece that I want to share with you is rejection. Now, this is a very, very important one because sometimes as women, we take rejections very hard. We take it super hard. In fact, when my husband left after 25 years in a very difficult situation, I took it personally. I forgot that we need to validate from the inside. Now, in the entertainment industry, I should have been ready for rejection. I've been rejected hundreds of times. It's part of the job. Now, in business, we have to learn to deal with that rejection in the same way as I did in the entertainment industry. We've got to not take that personally because a lot of the time it's not about us. It's about the person who's in front of us. It's maybe their hang-ups, their things that are going on, or maybe we're just not the right fit for each other. So what I learned along the way is it doesn't matter, who we are or where we're from or what we look like or how successful we are. We need to validate from the inside. I learned a very good lesson about self-validation. And let me finish with this little story. When I was in America doing big cabaret shows for up to 2,000 people, I was so worried about doing a good show every time. I'd almost make myself sick before each performance. And I was super focused on getting out there and doing such a good show that I would get a standing ovation every single time. And when I didn't get a standing ovation, I'd go home depressed and anxious. And I'd tear myself to shreds wondering what I did wrong. How can I do better? How can I get people to like me? It was such a huge waste of time. And then I thought, you know what? Tonight, I've got 2 shows. I've got a show in this theater and I've got a show in that theater. And I thought, you know what? Instead of busting my butt on stage, trying to impress people and trying to get that standing ovation, I'm just going to give it half-mast tonight and see what happens. I'm just going to enjoy myself and smile and sing and tell stories and say, I'm just going to have a good time. I went on that stage, the very first show, giving about 50% of what I normally do. I would give 110 and come away exhausted usually. I did my show. I had fun. I was chatty with the audience. They all had fun. and I got a standing ovation. It's like, if I give 50% and I just be me and I show up as me, I get a standing ovation. How weird is that? I went to the second show and just did the same. I just showed up as me. I stopped trying. I just stepped into the highest and best self that I could possibly step into. That moment changed my life. It made me realize I don't have to be that rebel anymore. I don't have to be that little girl with no voice anymore. I can just step into me. And that's what I want you guys to do. This is what I live for. I want people to find their voice. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional. I want people to find their voice. I want people to be able to speak up and speak out for themselves. It is so important in life. And if you feel shut down, if you feel not worthy, you've got to stop that. You've got to start validating from the inside, because we can all do this. I changed my voice and I changed my life unequivocally. And now I'm going to help people do the same. That's what I absolutely live for. I hope that inspired you today. Thank you so much for having me.
That was amazing, Alisa. Thank you so much for sharing. Extraordinary. I got so much out of that, and I'm sure everyone watching this got a lot too. And thank you so much for joining us. Those that were watching that whole talk there by Alisa, please pop into the comments. What did you get from that? It was just absolutely beautiful. I love how you are helping people step up and speak up. And I did put those 4 points into the chat as well. So honor the struggle, inspiration, learning resilience, and rejection. They're all in the chat there if you missed any of those. But thank you so much, Alisa, for joining us today. Welcome. Is there anything you want to say before you go, or any links that you'd like to share with us of how we can connect with you and support you?
Just The Voice of Confidence TV is my channel on YouTube. I'll just type that in the chat now.
Okay, great.
And it's super easy to find. You just go, I can't find the comments.
I'll just put the, that's right, I'll just pop it in there. The Voice of Confidence TV.
Yeah, you did it quicker than I could.
There it is.
Yeah, okay, and what inspires me most is that a lot of my audience there are young women, and I had no idea that an oldie like me could inspire young women. So that really makes me happy, because I'm here to inspire all women and men find their voice. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Alden.
Thank you, Alisa. You're amazing. We've known each other for a few years now, and Alisa, you have just flourished and blossomed, and it's been so extraordinary to see your growth in business and to see you shining all over the place online. So it's been an absolute pleasure to watch that journey and experience that with you. Well done for your success, and congratulations on all the amazing people you're helping. And I've just heard so many reports as well about people who've been working with you and getting great results, and they absolutely love you. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about you, Alisa. So, you've got a great reputation out there.
Thank you, guys. You guys are amazing and doing an amazing job. So thank you so much for putting this entire event on. You guys are incredible and such an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Alisa. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you. Mwah. And we'll take you out of the stream now. We'll bring Melissa on. Melissa is going to be our next speaker. Bye, Alisa. And thank you for our comments coming in. Thank you so much for all the beautiful comments. Rebecca says, beautiful here. Ariel, hello, good to see you. Your biggest enemy is yourself oftentimes. Yes, that's correct. And Rebecca, if you want to see her comments there's a whole lot there about what she's standing for, that she agrees with what Alisa's saying. And she challenges the old sayings of children should be seen and not heard. She says, I've come across people who disagree and say that, who disagree, here we go, it's all in there. Disagree, I'll just take Melissa out for a second. All right, we'll bring her in a minute. Here we go. All right, we are live streaming today, so please bear with us if we have any tech issues today, bringing people in and out. But hopefully it'll be all smooth sailing for the most part. Yeah, so she says that children should be heard and seen because they are our greatest teachers. Absolutely. My abuse caused me to be quiet because I was afraid of being beaten, and as I was told, destroying my family, which transformed into me overeating, self-harming, and more because I could not speak up and tell anyone what was happening. Wow, Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing. There's more there. Have a look in the comments. And if you are just joining us, of course, the theme for International Women's Day is #ChoosetoChallenge. So what are you taking on? What challenges are you taking on in your personal life or in the wider community? What is it that you're taking on, and what are you going to shift out in the world that you're not happy about, or shift in your own life? Maybe it's time for change for you. Maybe it's time to actually step up and choose to challenge yourself. Sandra says, thank you, Alisa. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much. What did you get out of that? Put some love into the comments wherever you are and share the love. We're going all day today. We're going from We've started at 8 a.m. Queensland time. We're going through till 4 p.m. Queensland time or 5 p.m. Sydney time this afternoon. We will have a 1-hour break. We've got a panel discussion this afternoon, 20 speakers, including one guy for the first time, and the amazing lady that has put all of this together today for the International Women's Day Global Summit. We have the morning session and the afternoon session. The amazing lady who put all of this together is going to be up next, and I will be introducing her very shortly. Phenomenal how she has just whipped this up like that and just got all these amazing speakers together. So it is with great pleasure now that I introduce our next guest speaker at the International Women's Day Global Summit morning session. There will be a different link for the afternoon session. So if you're watching this right now, if you're enjoying this inspiration you're getting today, please share the love on social media, pop your comments in, let's get interactive. Let us know, what is it that you choose to challenge? All right, now for the amazing Melissa Groom. Now, she is a world expert at positioning entrepreneurs to be a recognized influencer using the power of video. As a successful entrepreneur, she has created and produced over 400 national and international events, such as the International Women's Day, online and live summit, and helped thousands of people to maximize video to become recognized experts in their field. Now, I am just going to add her to the stream here so you can see what's going on. There's some strange activity happening here. However, I will keep going because clearly she cannot speak right now. I will keep introducing her. As the founder of the Visibility Club, Empowered Mums Business Network TV, and Mums in Business magazine, she has carved out a career in video marketing and launched various TV shows which have been viewed in over 78 countries. Melissa Groom has been working as a key facilitator and coach for Speakers Institute, empowering others to get clarity on their voice and launching themselves using their personal brand. Melissa knows the importance of speaking out and has empowered tens of thousands of people across the world to own their story, find their voice, and light up the world one video at a time. After navigating a childhood of abuse, Melissa knows the importance of speaking out and has empowered tens of thousands of women to find their own story, their voice, light up the world one video at a time. And her motto is, shine bright, the world needs you. Okay, Melissa, over to you. Please welcome our amazing Melissa Groom, the organizer of the International Women's Day Global Summit today. Over to you, Melissa. Now, Melissa, we can't really hear you there, but I'm just going to trust that you're doing what you're doing there. So over to you, Melissa. I presume at some point you'll take that tape off your mouth.
Have you ever felt scared to tell the truth? I have found that speaking your truth can be isolating. It can be lonely. It can be detrimental to your health and well-being. But the alternative can be worse. With long-term mental health issues, lifelong feelings of unworthiness, addictions, self-harming, suicidal thoughts and/or attempts, let alone the damage that it causes to future relationships with your partners, family members, and even your children. Speaking your truth can also set you free. It can help you heal and also give others permission to do the same. For far too long, women's voices have been suppressed. We have been silenced. It is time now for women to speak up, for women and children of all ages. Research states that violence against women and girls is a global pandemic that affects 1 in 3 women in their lifetime. The numbers are staggering. 35% of women worldwide have experienced either physical and/or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence. Globally, 7% of women have been sexually assaulted by someone other than a partner. Globally, as many as 38% of murders of women are committed by an intimate partner, and 200 million women have experienced female genital mutilation. This issue is devastating for survivors of violence and their families. Numerous studies have shown that children growing up with violence are more likely to become survivors themselves or perpetrators of violence in the future. One characteristic of gender-based violence is that it knows no social or economic boundaries and affects women and girls of all socio-economic backgrounds. This issue needs to be addressed in both developing and developed countries. Decreasing violence against women and girls requires a community-based multi-pronged approach and sustained engagement with multiple stakeholders. The most effective initiatives addresses underlying risk factors for violence, including social norms regarding gender roles and acceptability of violence. In 2021, thanks to the stand that women are taking in speaking their truth, real change is happening. Just yesterday, on March the 15th, hundreds of thousands of women joined forces and gathered in towns right across the globe to take part in rallies calling for gender equality and justice for victims of sexual assault. The March for Justice rallies were spurred by a recent wave of allegations of sexual assault, discrimination, and misconduct in some of Australia's highest political offices. Women wore black to signal strength and mourning. They carried banners with slogans, including "Shatter the Silence," "Stop the Violence," and joined, "We will not be silenced," they chanted. One protester said, "We were out in the 1970s calling for equality, and we are still here." Back in 1986, I was 14 years old when I made a statement to the police about the sexual abuse that I had endured by my mother's 2 boyfriends over 5 years between the ages of 9 and 14. I know what it's like to be silenced after being told not to tell anyone or else we will both go to jail. I know what it's like to live in fear of speaking up and believing if you told anyone that you may be the next missing person on the news, or that young girl who died in a house fire or freak accident. I know what it's like to not be believed when you tell the truth. I know what it feels like to not have your family stand by you and support you. I know what it feels like to be homeless and to not belong. I know what it feels like to not feel loved. I know what it feels like to not feel worthy. I know what it feels like to have your mother testify against you in court and say that you are making it all up for attention. I know what it feels like to have a lawyer yell at you that you are lying and making it all up. I didn't go to court to be on the witness stand for any glory. It was the most humiliating thing to have to recount in detail what happened in front of my father and stepmother, let alone a courtroom of strangers at 14 years of age. But I had to do it. I did it for justice, but mostly I did it for every boy and girl who didn't have the courage or the support to take their perpetrators to court. I was their voice. I stand for speaking my truth, even when it's the hardest thing to do, even when I stand alone, because it's the right thing to do. Too many people have taken their life, have suffered debilitating physical and mental illnesses because of suppressing the truth, or have a lifetime with guilt and shame and self-loathing. It took me 30 years to get to the point where I'm okay with who I am today, and to know that I am pure and that I am love and that I am not what happened to me. When Grace Tame recently made her speech and won Australian of the Year, I was nearly jumping out of my seat with joy and pride and relief. Tears streamed down my face as I felt a sisterhood all around the world rise up together. A sisterhood of courage, determination, self-respect, justice, truth, and love. I fought for justice, speaking my truth, doing the right thing to pave the way for future girls and boys who would experience any forms of abuse or violence. Every woman and child deserves to feel safe in their own home. Every woman deserves to feel safe in their workplace. Every woman deserves to feel safe with their lover. Every child deserves to feel safe at school. In Grace Tame's speech, Australian of the Year, she said, "Evil thrives in silence. Behaviour unspoken, behaviour ignored, is behaviour endorsed. When we share, we heal and we make concrete change. Men are not the enemy. Corrupt behaviour is the enemy. Fearlessness is not an absence of fear, but a refusal to not let it stop us from moving forward. Your fear of doing nothing should outweigh the fear of doing nothing. The abuse of power must stop. It stops by you breaking your silence and speaking your truth. It takes massive courage to speak up and to break the silence, but it first starts with reaching out and talking to someone. And my encouragement to you is to speak your truth and stand up for yourself. You will be heard, you will be believed, and you will be supported. Others have paved the way for you to set yourself free and reclaim your power and your life. This is your chance to call out sexism. Call it out at home. Call it out at work. Call it out at school. For your mother, your sister, your niece, your daughter, your granddaughter. You have the power to change history, to free women from the oppression that has kept them trapped, imprisoned, and silenced by the abuse of power. Join with me to speak your truth. Stand up for yourself. To call things out when you see them and hear them that are degrading to women, and hold others accountable for their actions. Let's ensure that we make it not only an equal future for the next generation of women, but a safer future for our children and adults to thrive. I will help forge women's equality by speaking my truth. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing, Melissa. You're just extraordinary. And, I've known you for quite a few years too now. And I must say your speaking and the impact that you have just keeps becoming more impactful, and you become more powerful with your purpose, your mission, your drive. It's just fantastic to see, and such a honor to be part of your community and to work so closely with you also as Speakers Tribe Queensland leaders together. And we have a very similar past with our upbringing in Sydney. If you want to know more about Melissa's background, check out the interview that I did with her on Media Queen TV. You will love that. We got very deep and personal with some of our background, and all of that shapes us, and all of that makes us who we are today. And it's just extraordinary who you've brought together today, Melissa, with the 20 people that we have on the lineup today, including one man. We have a few in the green room already. I might just bring them up very quickly and just add them to the stream so we can just see their faces. Some people coming up. We have here Maria and we have Annette, who are going to be speaking today. Hello, hello. And can't wait to hear from you, as well as all of our other amazing people. So I'll just take you out of the green room quickly. I just want to give you a little taste of what's to come. Okay, and I'm actually going to be speaking next, Melissa. So I will now hand over to you to introduce me on the lineup for the next talk. Thanks, Melissa. Well done.
Thank you. So Aldwyn Altony, mass media queen and marketing expert. She is a TV host, a speaker, a photojournalist, and author of multi best-selling books. With 36 years media experience, her PR company, AA Exposed Media, is the only one she knows of that guarantees results in the mainstream media. She is passionate about inspiring more good news in the mass media to help decrease depression and suicide rates and lift people's spirits. In 2018, she founded the Mass Media Tribe Meetup Group and a Global Good News Day, which is run annually on August the 8th. Also an animal activist, she founded Animal Action Events in 2007 and has run 13 annual charity events, so far raising awareness, appreciation, and respect for all animals. In her spare time, she loves performing in her comedy duo, the Fiddly Gigglers, acting, playing ukulele, and loves her long beach walks and body surfing. So please welcome Aldwyn Altony.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Amazing, Melissa Groom, extraordinary, and lots of love coming in the comments. Thank you so much. Keep the love coming with those comments. Thank you, Melissa. And I'm going to share with you today how to gain free publicity. I'm going to share my awesome steps to gaining free publicity, which is really important if you have business or if you have a message or a product that you want to get out to the world and not enough people know about it. Now, a lot of people are paying for advertising, in fact, wasting loads of money on advertising online and offline in the digital world, and often they are just not getting the results. And there's a few reasons for this. And one reason is because stories are viewed 22 times more than ads. The other reason is that people switch off with ads. They switch off. And you will know how you consume the media when you're watching TV, if you're listening to the radio, you will know that you switch off when ads come on, right? Unless you're in the advertising game and you want to see how people are operating in that space, generally people switch off. So I'm going to share with you how to get free publicity from my insider knowledge. I've been in the media in one form or another for 37 years. Yes, I know I look 25, but I'm actually 47. And I first started in the media at age 10. I first had my experience as a table tennis player. I was a top junior table tennis player in Sydney, and I was in the Manly Daily at age 10. I was on Cartoon Connection, Channel 7 at age 11, had my first media training at age 11, did a radio show at 13, went on and worked in TV, radio and print for over 25 years in one form or another, freelance to media all over the world. And so what I'm going to share with you today is based on media coverage that I've gained for myself and my clients over all that time. And there's a few really simple strategies when it comes to publicity. Now, have you had publicity before? If you have, please pop into the chat. Have you had publicity? And if so, what did you feature in? I'd love to know. Now, you don't need to smuggle drugs out of Bali to get publicity, okay? Or you don't need to be a criminal like Ivan Milat, although he has been getting a fair bit of airtime even though he's dead, right? You don't have to be a psychopath to get publicity, right? You can actually get a lot of positive media now, and this is what I'm really passionate about, is getting more truth and good news out in the mass media. And we are in rapidly changing times at the moment in the world of mass media, right? Facebook only started in 2004. And now out of the 7.8 billion people on the planet, there's 3.8 billion active social media users. So nearly half the world's population are actively on social media. And so what we're starting to see now is that people are creating media. You are creating media with your social media. We have over 1 million podcasts now just in America alone, which is extraordinary. So you can actually create the news. And now also we have a whole lot of good news and truth networks out there. We have the Good News Network. We have Sunny Skies News. There's a happy newspaper in the UK that went viral. In news.com.au, there's a good news section. There's also a WTF section. And there's also life stories, right? The media want to know about your story, and your X factor is your story. No one else has your story. You are 1 in a billion just by being born. You've beaten about 1 billion swimmers to get to the finish line. Okay, so you are 1 in a billion just by being born. And there's a reason you're here. There's a reason you're watching this right now. There's a reason you're drawn to this community. And perhaps with the hashtag Choose to Challenge for International Women's Day, perhaps the challenge for you will be to actually be seen, be heard, and be known. If that's where you're at now, if you want to make a bigger difference in the world, if you want to build your fame, your fortune, your freedom, and leave a legacy, then free publicity is your answer. Okay, so the awesome steps. So I have in the shape of a magic wand, I have my magic wand here, and this wand is to prove that anything is possible for you. Okay, so I'd like you to think about the wand whenever you have that little monkey chatter comes into your brain and says, who am I to share, or someone else is better than me, or whatever, right? You only need to know 10% more than someone else about a topic to teach it. Okay, you don't have to know everything. So just start somewhere. 50% of anything you do is just starting. So we'll start today with the awesome formula for gaining free publicity. Now, the A for awesome is to articulate your story. The very first step is to get clear on what it is you want to promote. Is it a product, a service, a business, a message? And what is your story that ties in with that? Okay, so as an example, I'm a stand for truth and good news in the media. And I have a story that relates to that because I've had depression. I've had 4 friends who've taken their own lives by the age of 45. And I've seen the impact that negative news has on the world. I've seen the impact that it had on me growing up watching a lot of negative news in the family. And so I'm a stand for truth and good news. That's part of my story that ties in with what I want to promote. And so in line with that, I've set up a Global Good News Day on the 8th of the 8th, 18. I've also set up a Global Good News Challenge, which started in the height of COVID in June 2020. And every month we have different Global Good News Challenges where people are sharing love and gratitude. And love and gratitude are the highest vibrations you will feel in your life. So the more you can get into that space, the more you will inspire yourself and inspire others around you. Okay, so that's the A of the awesome steps. The W is to work your angles. Now, the media work on angles. Now, in most media outlets, they have an advertising section and they have an editorial section. Now, the editorial section where the journalists will do free stories for you and not charge you thousands of dollars in advertising, they want angles. And at different times of years, there's all sorts of different angles that come out. We've got Mother's Day, Father's Day, back to school. We've got International Women's Day, right? We have Christmas, Easter, all these kind of things. We have Small Business Week. We have all sorts of different, World Harmony Day, all sorts of different events that you can tie in and create a story around, right? That's angles, different angles. Or there could be an angle in what you do or your business. You might have an eco-friendly angle to your business or to what you do. What is it you stand for? What are you passionate about? And there's 9 different angles that I cover in my free publicity secrets workshop that I do. I do a free event online, and the next one's coming up on the 24th of March. So check out freeprsecrets.com if you want to come along to that 4-hour event from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, where I go into a lot more detail with this. But some angles you might want to think about is one is a charity angle. Okay, that's a great angle. You might have a celebrity angle. You might have a celebrity that supports your cause. Even if it's not a huge celebrity, that could be an angle for you. And you could have also a unique solution for something that is going on in the community right now. So there's just 3 of the 9 angles that I share in my workshop. The W of the awesome steps is to work your angles. So I've got articulate story, work the angles. The E is for elevate your profile. And with elevate your profile, you need to then package up your angles into a press release. Now, you can get media without a press release. However, you increase the chances of journalists getting the facts wrong. They are incredibly busy people, and you need to make their job easy for them. Okay, there's a 5-year burnout with journalists. They can be rude, they can be snappy sometimes, right? So there's certain times of days you want to be pitching to journalists, and certain times of the day, like mornings generally are better to pitch than afternoons because they're on deadline, and different media you pitch at different times. So there's a whole art form to this, but generally speaking, you need a press release, you need some good visuals, and you need to pitch it effectively. And that all comes into elevating your profile, okay, and packaging yourself up. And then also here you want to look at how you come across online as well. So when people Google you, what are they going to find? Are you Googleicious, as someone said recently? I love that term, Googleicious. Are you Googleicious? What happens when people Google you? Do you have consistent messaging and branding right across the board? Then the S of the awesome steps is to startle the media. So once you have your press release ready, you have some visuals, you have a great pitch ready to go, how do you then get the media's attention? Now, the media don't just want to educate nowadays, they want to entertain as well. How can you be really entertaining and visual with what you do and how you promote to the media? And particularly with TV, this is the case. They're always looking for good visuals and good talent. However, even with radio now, radio is sharing their stories online, on their websites, on social media, and also print media. More and more is happening online, and of course it's words and pictures. So how can you be creative with that? So for example, with Richard Branson, when he launched the Virgin Brides venture, he dressed in a wedding dress. Okay, so he was willing to go above and beyond, and even to be seen as silly or whatever, you need to get over yourself and have some fun with this, right? If you really want to get good publicity. The more outrageous you can be with your visuals, the better publicity you'll get. Okay, so we've got articulate your story for the A of the awesome, work the angles, elevate your profile, startle the media. The O then of the awesome formula is to own your power. And this is crucial in life, in business, with publicity. It's important for you to be confident with what you do and to own your power and realize that you do have an amazing message to share. You do have a great story. If you've had any hardship whatsoever, there is a great story right there. You just may not see it because maybe you're too close to what you do to see that. Perhaps. So what is it that when you share your story with people, they say, wow, tell me more about that? Well, journalists are the same. That's what they're looking out for. They're looking for those wow moments in your story, in what you do, in your product, in what you stand for, in your challenge that you take on for your life, for the community. They say there's no greater purpose than being of service. How are you being of service? And I know if you're watching this, I would say you're a person of service because that's the community that is attracted here to the Mums in Business community and to those that are hanging out also in our communities. So always own your power. M is then master interviews. The M of the awesome steps is mastering interviews. There's certain things to do before, during, and after interviews so that you get the most out of your interviews. And ideally with your interviews, think of 3 main points you want to get across in your interview. As I say, I'll go into a lot more detail with my workshop if you want to find out more about this. And then E of the awesome steps is exploding your impact. Once you get the publicity, you want to make sure you share it far and wide and tag the media outlets, tag journalists that you're dealing with, get those photos for social media and make the most of the publicity that you get. Use it in your marketing, use it in your websites, etc. So that's my awesome steps to getting publicity, and I will pop them into the chat as well. So what I want to do really now is encourage you to step up, be seen, be heard, be known, make a bigger difference in the world. As Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. And the more that you do shine bright, the more you will light up those around you. I do believe in the power of one, and I believe in you. So here's to you stepping up. Here's to you being the inspiration in your life and in those around you, and to continue spreading the love and to continue waving your magic wand, because anything is possible for you and your life. Now, I have ongoing free events online. I have the Free Publicity Workshops event, and I have Free Publicity Secrets, and I have the Mass Media Tribe meetups as well. We have different marketing speakers that come along every month. It's all online. So I invite you to follow me on Eventbrite, and you will see all our event updates, and also to subscribe to Media Queen TV if you want some inspiration and some good news. We have over 600 videos on there, which are phenomenal. Some amazing people I have interviewed over the years. I'm very grateful for you all. Thank you so much. And it's a great honor to be MC today. I am going to add Melissa back into the stream now and sign out. Thank you so much for all your comments. What did you get out of that so far? And what are you choosing to challenge in your life? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aldwyn. Amazing tips. And I really encourage you to connect with Aldwyn, because the world does need more good news and honesty. That's what we are trying to do in the online space. We get to share our voice. Yes, sometimes we are suppressed with speaking our truth, but today really is all about us having the courage to speak up and share our truth, to inspire you to step up and bring more love and light out into the world. So next up, we have our beautiful speaker, Maria Patarakas. Did you want to introduce her, or myself, Aldwyn?
Yeah, I've got Maria's bio here. I can do that if you like. And we'll be tag teaming today, Melissa and I. We have a packed schedule if you've just joined us, 20 speakers, including one guy coming up. And we are going right through till 4 p.m. Queensland time, 5 p.m. Sydney time. And we will have a 1-hour break for lunch in between, and some phenomenal speakers coming up. So Maria Patarakas, I hope I said that correctly. I think it sounds like a Greek name. Sounds like I've got Greek, Turkish, Ukrainian blood. So that's Sounds Greek. Maria's going to be coming up very shortly, so I'll do a quick intro for her. Thank you for all your lovely comments. Tina says, great tips, Aldwin. Thank you for sharing your amazingness. Oh, thank you, Tina. That's lovely. Thanks, Aldwin. Enjoyed your messages. Thank you so much. Keep spreading the love online for all of our speakers. In Speakers Institute, they call them sugar cubes, right? Share some love with our beautiful people. And if you are learning some wisdom, please pop into the comments, share this live stream wherever you're watching it today on Facebook or on YouTube, and let's inspire more people out there to live amazing lives and to share their amazingness. Thank you so much. And Rebecca's also made some beautiful comments there. Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, over to Maria now. Thank you, Melissa. I'll just remove you there from the stream for a moment, and we'll bring Maria up here as I introduce her. Hello, Maria. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, I'll just introduce you here so those know about you. Okay, now Maria Patarakas, have I said that right, Maria?
You have said it right.
Amazing, amazing. I've said it right, yay. Maria Patarakas, future-proofing counsellor and mentor with over 25 years experience and passion for working with people and communities to connect with their potential, build their resilience, and live with confidence and purpose. Bringing together her foundations in psychology and a career in government, the community sector, politics and policy, in 2016 she embarked on her entrepreneurship journey. Maria sees the world in a very unique way and has created a system for future-proofing for life. Now, when working with Maria, you will gain a practical process for a resilient mindset. You will transform through psychology, mentoring and humour. You will learn an adaptable system that supports your longevity. You'll have flexible access to counselling and mentoring, and you'll be supported with over 25 years experience in unlocking people potential. Maria understands firsthand that knowing your purpose can change the trajectory of your life. With her own purpose in mind, she started a second business in marketing, working with her sister and bringing together their combined skills of marketing and psychology. She believes that potential never ends, and the only way we view our potential, only the way we view our potential is what ends, not potential, right? So it's all about perspective.
That's right. That's correct.
She's a mother of 2 young children, has carved a career for herself to suit her and her young family, as well as her husband's mining career. She understands how caring for others and living your personal desires and purpose can seem at odds at times. Maria is supporting individuals and businesses to reimagine life longevity through resilience, purpose, and endless potential. Welcome, Maria. I can't wait to hear from you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited. Thank you. I am talking to you today about resilience and sovereignty. And I've discovered that they really are hand in hand. So to start, the foundation of future-proofing is resilience. And I believe resilience is one of the most important virtues a person can have. In fact, it is the cornerstone of future-proofing any kind of system, whether it's medical, computers, structures, and yes, people too. How we manage a setback, a tragedy, a separation, a death, the unpredictability of weather patterns and a pandemic is based on our own personal emotional resilience. We know that life happens, and for some people it can be harder than for others, but that does not determine resilience. What I've discovered in my work with my clients, in my research and in my personal experience is that what we do in between the hard times is what gets us through. People with a resilient mindset are more than optimistic. They are aware, they're open-minded, they're adaptable, decisive and committed. They engage in life fully and embrace and accept certain beliefs that shape their life perspective and ultimately give them resilience. They know that resilience is not gained by just one event, but rather it is an ever-evolving process. Some of the beliefs that they include in their lives are things like, I always endure and I ride the waves of life. Life is a journey of learning and growing. I practice gratitude and I find blessings in my life. I do not need to go it alone. I get support and help when I need it. I make the most out of life and more. I trust in life's outcomes. This is very important. I accept pain, discomfort, and negative feelings as information for growth. And I take responsibility for myself, my choices, and my life. I practice self-compassion and believe I'm worthy of help and support, and I have what it takes. And I'm really going to be focusing on that. I take responsibility for myself, my feelings, and my choices in my life. So as I've embraced this work and continued with this future-proofing journey, I've discovered that there are two other essential components to resilience. They are sovereignty and purpose. And I've come to resilience. When it comes to resilience, they really walk hand in hand. When you search for the definition of sovereignty, you'll find it simply as defined as supreme power and authority. Historically, it's a concept that's been linked to countries and governments and religion. In recent history, it's a concept that has moved to the individual with self-sovereignty, and it is a growing approach to taking charge of one's own life and our outcomes. To clarify, this is not about being above the law, but rather taking control, ownership, and complete responsibility for the choices you make and the outcomes of your own life. Being a sovereign person means accepting that you are the common thread in your life, and you are responsible for how you feel, think, act, and are in your world. At the end of the day, our world always revolves around us, every single one of us, and our perspective and how we feel within ourselves is reflected in our world. And it takes courage to be a sovereign person, because you're in the essence changing the way you view everything about your life, sharing your truth without fear or favor. It also requires you to respect another person's sovereignty, and this is very important. You can't believe that you have your rights without another person having theirs. And you can't believe in your truth without accepting another person has their own truth too. The common value being compassion, love, and respect, or I should say common values. They're essential to sovereignty. In this way, claiming our personal sovereignty also supports our collective sovereignty. A shining example of this is Grace Tame, our 2021 Australian of the Year. Sovereignty does not mean taking responsibility for the choices of others. Unfortunately, too often people choose to hurt others. We know this, we've seen this. It is the biggest topic in Australia right now, when men choose to hurt women. And when women, in their own way, by saying nothing or by going along with systems, support that. It's a choice too. Personal sovereignty, let me start that again. Personal sovereignty is finding the courage to take your power back and becoming 100% responsible for your healing. Your courage to take that journey and to do it with love, strength, and personal resilience and action. This is what Grace Tame has done. Her voice started something this year, and this is now growing into a journey of collective sovereignty for women in Australia. As women, we have felt the burden of taking care of everyone else's feelings. You may well have put your feelings aside, for your children, your partner, parents, siblings, in order to not rock the boat, to keep the peace, to protect others. Meanwhile, there is this fire of silent rage and resentment burning inside of you because deep down you know you're betraying yourself. I'm not saying it is easy. Personal sovereignty requires tremendous courage. It requires us to dig deep and put the mirror up to our beliefs, all of our beliefs and our stereotypes that we've been handed down, that we have had modeled to us as women for generations upon generations. And some of these look like this: judging, victimizing, martyrdom, perfectionism, people-pleasing, blaming, shaming, self-sacrificing, denying self, powerlessness. Sovereignty looks a little different, and it feels so different because it's self-compassion, love, acceptance, mindfulness, radical responsibility, curiosity, understanding, self-determination, courage, empowerment, personal truth, and self-respect. At all times, you are choosing. It may feel safer to follow the first path. It can be scary to take on that level of personal responsibility. However, without it, you're betraying yourself. And at some point, the fear becomes less, and the pain of self-betrayal becomes something you cannot do anymore, and you stand up. And without this standing up, you are also limiting your opportunities for your life's fullest potential. Purpose is not an obligation or daily task. Living your purpose brings you joy, inspiration, love, and pleasure. So important. When you have a purpose, you have an underpinning foundation in your life. When things get hard, a curveball is thrown at you, you still have a sense of clarity and direction in your life. There is growing research that suggests that sense of purpose boosts your health and helps your life it helps you to live longer, gives you longevity. People with a sense of purpose are happier, and people who are happier, of course, have better health outcomes. Some of the health benefits include a reduced risk of heart attack and heart disease, Alzheimer's, as well as being better able to deal with pain generally. Purpose is not a complicated grand vision, rather the spark that lights up how you express your life. My purpose is to teach. My purpose is to tell a story. My purpose is to heal others. My purpose is to serve. My purpose is to shine light. My purpose is to protect. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a grand vision. It's that little thing you do every day, in every relationship, in everything that you do in your life. It's how you express yourself. This purpose is amplified with sovereignty. When you truly become a master of your thoughts, your feelings, your beingness. When you go on a journey of claiming sovereignty, you start to notice and you watch yourself. And I know this because I've been doing it, and it's hard work. You become open to calling out your own BS. You notice when you're being a victim in your life, when you're shaming yourself, when you're bullying yourself, when you're talking yourself down, and you start to look for the causes. You challenge yourself in loving and compassionate ways, and you start saying no to things that compromise you. You take responsibility for how you are in your relationships. For me, Grace Tame and women like her and Brittany Higgins are the new wave of more and more women claiming their sovereignty in Australia, individually and collectively at the same time. It is time to call out the inequity and all the injustice. But let's be clear, and I'm going to get a bit controversial now. We as women can also walk a fine line between victim and bully. When we feel threatened, scared and fearful, and wonder if we are enough, any one of us can go there. Women have survived by emasculating their behaviour with negative consequences for their health and their well-being. They do this at work in order to survive. It's been a long story, and a story that we really need to reevaluate and relook at. When I think of the women who've bullied me, and you don't escape if you've worked in government and politics, even in NGOs, there is bullying everywhere. I see these qualities in them. I see them as struggling, as trying to survive, as not feeling enough within themselves. At the heart of it all, deep down inside, we all have the same needs. Every single one of us wants to feel safe, secure, and enough. It is in this common needs where the opportunity lies for women. There's a great place to start to turn things around and become our own heroines in this long and outdated story about women. Here is the opportunity to move from unconscious conditioning to conscious choices and our sovereignty. It is an issue that women experience no matter our age, our race, or our sexual orientation. You are all here today as part of a movement that increases consciousness amongst women. It is our right to feel safe in our workplace and in our homes and in our communities, and we all have a part to play. There is power in women coming together. And I'd really like to finish off by breaking down together, or to get her. Whilst it's very important, this very important word is for all people and all of us together, today it highlights our relationships as women. At our worst, we can bully. We become competitive, judgmental, belittling, shaming. We exclude and isolate other women. This is not when we are together, but when we are out to get her and bring her down for whatever reason. Look, I'm not completely innocent. I've had to reevaluate and look at how I do things too. I've had to look back at situations in my life and say, I could have done that better. That's part of standing up and ownership. You've got to call out your own stuff. That makes you stronger and able to support others when they are calling out their own. It makes you stronger to be able to say, no, that's not okay, because you've actually analysed what you've done in the past and been really honest about it. And I sincerely apologise for anyone I might have contributed pain to in the past. But you see, women at our best, we are loving, we are uplifting, nurturing, compassionate and understanding. And we seek to elevate and grow together. A woman who shines is always more open to allowing other women to shine too. There is no competition, because we understand that each of us brings something unique to the table. We don't feel threatened by other women because we have internal strength and believe in ourselves. We have sovereignty. We know we are enough. You see the light we see the light in others, and we recognise their pain and fear with compassion. And I'm just going to quote Lizzo here from the next generation of strong women who are coming through. If I'm shining, everybody going to shine. So this is when we come to get her, as in let her know we understand. We get her. We understand her. We forgive her. We elevate her. The reality is that in order to get her, we must get you first. This is an inside job. This is where our sovereignty lies, and it will always be there for every single person on the planet. And this is where our collective sovereignty is coming together, where women are standing up, supporting one another. I was so heartened by those marches yesterday. I live in a small town. I couldn't participate, but I watched them and my heart grew, and I opened up my heart to the idea of this being the defining moment of change, where women come together and they say, yeah, we haven't, it hasn't been good. It hasn't been perfect. We have not even been perfect with each other. We've seen that in Parliament House. We've seen in the way some of the women have responded in Parliament House to this whole situation. My heart goes out to them now, because they betrayed themselves in the process, and we can all go there too. And let's remind ourselves to be compassionate to all sides of this situation and all women in this situation. There is a lot of suffering going on. So what is my pledge? To choose to challenge. I choose to challenge. I choose to support women in standing in their own sovereignty, to live in their purpose and in their never-ending potential. Thank you so much for having me today. I've been so excited to be here and talk about these things. They're things we all need to talk about. Are you there?
Yes. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you, Maria. That was brilliant. Absolutely love that. And which small town are you coming to us from? Where are you right now?
I live in Nyngan, New South Wales. Sometimes it gets confused for Nimbin, but it's not. I'm in the wheat belt. We've got wheat around us. We've got mines around us. We have lots of mice in our house, and yeah, it's it's been an interesting journey living in a rural town after the Gold Coast, but we're loving it, absolutely loving it.
Nice. That would be a whole other experience, I'm sure, connecting to nature in a whole other way and getting connected to the earth. Fantastic, Maria. That was brilliant. Love that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any links you want to share with anyone, or how can people connect with you?
Well, there's my Facebook page, Future Proofing Counsellor, Maria Patarakas, Future Proofing Counsellor. My email is hello@mariapatarakas.com. You're welcome to contact me there. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm currently updating my webpage, but we'll be up and running very soon. mariapatarakas.com.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for that inspiration. That was wonderful.
My pleasure.
All right, we're going to add now the amazing Melissa Groom to the stage here, and she will be introducing our next speaker. We do have a packed lineup today for you, going right through till 4 p.m. Queensland time, 5 p.m. Sydney time, if you've just joined us. And if you are watching this, thank you for supporting. We've got lots of love coming through. Hello, Tina. Good to see Christina there too, making lots of comments. Welcome, welcome. We will be popping your comments up on the screen occasionally today, so keep those comments coming in and keep letting us know what you're getting out of today and what you're choosing to challenge in line with the theme for International Women's Day as well in your own life and in other people's lives around you. And Melissa is the amazing lady who has put all this together today and organised it. So, Melissa, congratulations on an amazing event. And I will hand over to you now to introduce our beautiful next guest speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Aldwyn. So up next we have the beautiful Teresa Mitchell. Working on the fringe is Teresa's heart and specialty. Her passion for encouraging people for life shines through daily, whether from the stage presenting or to supporting homeless people on the streets. In 2009, Teresa founded and is currently director of Agape Outreach Inc., a charity which supports the homeless and needy with food, psychological access, case management, and basic life skill classes. She is the author of Stories from the Streets, which is set to be released in July 2021. She has just opened her own psychology department to aid the homeless. She's also completing her own clinical psychology degree to be able to help more people, and she is aiming to open tiny housing living estates for the homeless. In 2015, Teresa was titled Women of the Year for inspiring so many in the community. Her speaking is a rare combination of being able to pull out your passions and being able to inspire you to live them today. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'll take it away. Hi, I'm Teresa Mitchell, the founder of Agape Outreach Inc. I don't know if you've heard of us or not. We're based in Tweed Heads in New South Wales, and we cover the area serving the homeless and needy from Byron Bay in New South Wales through to Runaway Bay in Queensland. As Melissa just shared with you, we try and have a holistic approach to our support with homelessness. So we're out in the van taking hot meals out on the street to people in need. We do food hampers for families in need. We have case managers to support people in applying for housing or doctor's appointments, court cases, anything that may come up and arise. We have a venue in Tweed Heads where we offer shower and laundry access. We have opened a psychology department because mental health is such a huge thing, and people need access to be able to move forward holistically, as I mentioned. We do life skills training classes. Now that's everything from cooking, nutrition classes, budgeting, resilience classes, right through to drug and alcohol support programs. I love what I do. And, you know, I've been doing this for 12 years, and you're going to hear a lot of women talk about purpose, living your purpose today. And I'm sure that you'll hear it from the stage many times. And I suppose I want to draw in on that living for your purpose as well, and probably clarify a little bit more on it also, because, you know, I know people turn around and say to me, but you know what your purpose is. Your purpose is homelessness and supporting people. And I want to break that down and say, when I first started 12 years ago, it was to walk down the street with a baked meal and say, who's hungry? It wasn't tiny housing, living estates and aiming for that. It wasn't psychology departments. It wasn't getting a psychology degree. It wasn't any of these other things. It was, what is the immediate need? And the immediate need that stirs me, that drives me, that pushes me into action is, what can I do for these people that I'm walking past and there is a pit in my stomach that is on fire because I'm doing nothing about it. I was a single mum at the time with kids in tow, and I asked around with different organizations and groups to say, you know, can we partner with this? Can we do this? And their response was, you're a single mum, stop being stupid, go do something safer. So I suppose with purpose, I want to put out there to you that purpose isn't shiny. It doesn't have to be glittery. It doesn't have to be attractive. It doesn't even have to be seen as a positive thing. But it does have to drive you. It does have to stir in the pit of your gut to make you get up and do something about it. I can tell you right now that working with the homeless people on the street, there is days where I just want to step out and cry, and I do. I really, really do. So I collect people's bodies when they've passed away. I bury them. I have to, you know, there's sometimes I can't get the resources to help people. We're non-government funded, so we have to be out there fundraising for everything that we do, collecting rescued food from the community and then repurposing it to put it back out. And there's times where I just can't help people, and it hurts, and it really can kick you in the guts. And no matter whether you're in a business, whether you're in a charity, or where you're at, you're going to have days like that. And I know there's women out there that are, you know, really relating. You know, please put it in the comments if you relate to this, that if you really get that it is hard working for your purpose, it is hard building on that dream and that drive and aiming for it, but it's worth it. You break it down and you know that if you walked away from it and you did something that filled in your life, which was just a moneymaker, I don't get that. I don't understand that. To me, you've got to have that emotional stir in your stomach to make you want to get up every morning and make a difference in someone's life. Now, some businesses you might turn around and go, oh, look, well, that's not what we're about. We're product orientated. Well, partner with someone who stirs your soul, someone who drives you to say, you know what, if I make this extra goal, it's going to make a difference in this charity or in this organization, or that single mum, or that domestic violence, or, you know, that children's foundation. You know, I run an awards, Heart of Women Awards, and recognize other women out there in the community who are making a difference. Because while I may speak on Agape Outreach and what we do, it's not just about me that stirs me. It's about supporting women out there to make their dreams come true. Because if you fulfill those dreams, it's not just about you, it's about everybody else as well. Please tap into that. And as I mentioned, when I first started this 12 years ago, it was about providing a meal. Time after time after time, something else made that stir in my gut, and it grew and it changed. And I can tell you what made the stir that we needed more. That was seeing a family with a baby in a pram digging through a rubbish bin. We had given them food to eat, but they needed a teaspoon to feed the baby with their takeaway meals. So, you know, if something's not kicking you in the gut and driving you to move, then find it. Don't just live life to exist. Live life with a purpose. Live life to push through. And then when you're in it, find the shiny. I can tell you that we have had positive stories, that it does make a difference, that when somebody is messy crying, you know, snotty crying on your shoulder in happiness because you help them into housing, because you help put school uniforms on their kids' backs, that you help them fit into a normal lifestyle and start back from zero, it's worth it. It is worth making a change. It is worth putting that effort in and having those days where you can't make a difference and you feel that hopelessness and pushing through that and really making a difference for someone else. To me, this is purpose and this is connection. And I really hope that you relate to that. I really hope that you maybe already have that purpose and passion in your life that drives you. You know, I'm not going to stop doing this, and I pray that I live long enough to see tiny housing living estates, not just one for the homeless, but for multiple ones around Australia, because I don't want to make this organisation about me. I want to make it about hundreds and thousands of people, because when I look into a person's eyes and see pain and I know I can make a difference, I want to do that, and I want to duplicate that for all the ones with the eyes that I haven't seen yet. So feel free to put something in the comments and, you know, let me know that you are connected with something, or you're looking for something to connect with, because there is a myriad of needs out there. And, you know, homelessness touches so many of these different things. Like, you may not be aware that the stereotype of homelessness is just alcoholism or the mental illness. Well, it's not. If you look around you, especially on the Gold Coast at the moment, people can't get housing. And we're talking families that are paying $850 a week in hotels, or, you know, who have been renting at that price bracket and still cannot get back into housing. Affordable housing's gone. It's non-affordable housing that's not available anymore. Things are going to get worse. People are going to need more help, and we need you. Our links for Agape Outreach should be up on the comments site. I would love to hear from you. As Melissa mentioned at the start, well, I've written a book called Stories from the Streets, and it's snippets of my heart in action in there. It's also individual stories of people that I've worked with. It's ones that have been submitted from other people that are on there as well. There might even be a few names that you recognize in that book. So, and that's due for release in July. We will have a pre-sale happening from now. So you can go and put a comment into Agape Outreach comments section, and we will tee up a pre-sale for you. It's $25 including postage to get a copy of the book. And, you know, if any of my little snippets of stories have stirred something in you, and I know I haven't shared a lot, but we don't have a lot of time. I could speak for days on homelessness. There's lots of them in the book. And I really do hope that they stir you into finding your passion and living a life of fulfillment every day. So thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate the invite and being able to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Thank you so much, Teresa. You are one incredible woman, and I know you say this is not about you, but I just thank you for showing us how much more we can actually do and how much is actually needed in society, because we just, you know, think that we can only do so much. But all of those things that you've just mentioned in your talk surely has sparked something inside of our viewers to reach out to Agape Outreach Inc. Join them on Facebook, go over to their website, make a donation, look on their website and see what help they need in their organisation, and perhaps you could volunteer some of your time to actually help, you know, people that are struggling right now, which is massive due to the pandemic and the increase in rental prices and the increase in food, the job losses, the psychological damage that it's all doing to, you know, the adults and the children. So what is it that you really would like us to do for you, for Agape Outreach Inc.?
We want to connect with businesses. So, you know, as I've shared, I'm really wanting people to connect with their passion and their drive, but at the same time, we need financial support. So if there's a program or a promotion or something that businesses can run and that we can financially benefit from, you know, even exposure is great as well. But we, as I mentioned unfunded. We do need that extra support from the community to keep going and growing. And we've got a big vision, a big dream, and we're just going to keep plugging away at it. But the faster people come on board, the faster we can get there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for sharing your story and being the beautiful you that you are.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Teresa. Amazing. Wow. This is amazing, Melissa. I'm getting so much out of this, and I know our viewers are as well. We've got fantastic comments coming in. Thank you so much, Lillian, Rebecca, Christina, for all your beautiful comments, and everyone else who's joining us. What did you get out of that? What are you standing for? What are you choosing to challenge in your life and in the wider community? What are you choosing to challenge? Love to hear from you in the comments, and share the love today. Now, Melissa, we do have our amazing next guest speakers in the green room, and just about to introduce them. Before I do, is there anything you want to say to our viewers at this point?
Oh, look, I just want to say, please share this live stream, because this is not about Aldwin and I. This is not even about all of our speakers. It is about you. We're hoping that by, whoever hears the message today, it could be just one sentence out of somebody's talk today that will really just give them some hope, because there is a lot of fear going on at the moment, a lot of uncertainty, and so we want to bring you some peace and some love and some hope. So just hit the share button and share it with your friends and colleagues.
Beautiful. Thank you, Melissa. And for those who've joined us, Melissa has put all of this together today and organised our 20 speakers with this jam-packed schedule. So extraordinary work, Melissa. I don't know how you do it, managing children, business, and just putting this together on the side, and Speakers Tribe and Speakers Institute, everything you do, you're extraordinary. So well done on today. It's absolutely brilliant. And thank you so much for putting this together. It's been awesome. All right. We'll come back and hear more from Melissa later. So we'll now introduce our next speakers. I'm going to add them to the stream while I introduce them. Hello. We've got Natasha Price and Adam Shepherd there. Now, welcome. Now, Natasha is an elite wheelchair athlete, an entrepreneur, speaker, blogger, published author, 2020 and 2021 Queensland State Athletics champion, international marathon winner, and Gold Coast Woman of the Year finalist as well. She's the founder of Invincible, a products-based business that exists to empower those living with disability and long-term health conditions to live fun, fulfilling, and active lives. Adam is an athletics coach, personal trainer, retired para-athlete, former Australian record holder, speaker, and entrepreneur. He was born and bred in the Sunshine State and lives with his wife of 10 years, Christy, and their 3-year-old son, Fletcher. Together, Natasha and Adam founded Invincible's sister organisation, Invincible AIDE, which stands for Accessibility, Inclusion, Diversity, and Education, where this unstoppable team utilises their decades of lived and work experience in the field of disability to empower, inspire, and create the kind of change that will have a meaningful impact on accessibility, diversity, and inclusion worldwide. Welcome, Natasha and Adam. Wow, you are extraordinary. Can't wait to hear this. All right, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, hey everyone. So I am Tash, and this is my business partner, coach, best friend, whatever else you want to call him, Adam.
All round good guy.
Yeah, he likes to think so anyway. So I am the founder of Invincible and co-founder of Invincible Aid, as previously mentioned by Aldwin. I guess I want to start off by saying that we choose to challenge people's perception of ability and what that actually means, and try and, I don't know, get rid of some of the fear that surrounds disability, and do what we can to empower those with disability, both male and female, because, you know, the conversation starts between both sexes.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, I want to talk about my story, because I guess my story is where the journey starts, and it's really, really important to understand how your journey develops into the person you are today. So, Christmas Day 2008, it was a day like any other. I was out with friends and family and, enjoying the festivities of the day, having a great time. I went to bed as normal, but when I woke up just 6 hours later, there was a big black spot in the center of my field of vision, and I really couldn't see a thing through that eye. I tried to get an optician's appointment because, it was clear that something was wrong. But however, being Christmas time, everything was closed. So I waited patiently, not really sure what was going to happen next. Took me a week to get that appointment, and during that week, my left eye also deteriorated, and literally 10 days later, I couldn't see the difference between night or day out of either eye. As you can imagine, it was pretty scary, but I got on with things as best I could. However, ended up in hospital to go and get things treated. Ended up on steroid treatments and any number of things to try and treat the issue because they weren't quite sure what was going on. I was then sent home to go and live out life as a blind person. Unfortunately, though, just a few weeks later, I ended up back in hospital again when I started getting weakness down my legs. Yeah, that was an interesting time because something that started off with pain and weakness soon turned into full paralysis down the lower half of my body. We soon found out that I had a rare neurological disease, not unlike MS, but a little bit more severe. It comes in waves. 1 minute you can be fine, and the next minute not so much. That was none more apparent than on Mother's Day 2012. I was in hospital at the time. I was getting a feeding tube fitted for my paralyzed stomach. And the morning before the operation, I was sat at the sink in hospital cleaning my teeth. And I just sat there. Before I know it, bang, that's when it happened. Next thing I know, I wake up with my head slumped over the sink and water pouring over my face, choking me because I couldn't move. I could not move any part of my body from the waist down. I was scared, I was petrified, I was screaming in my head for help, but nobody could hear me because I just couldn't communicate at the time. It was scary, and it felt like an absolute eternity before I managed to get any help. Next thing I remembered is being carried to my hospital bed and just being there talking to doctors and really not know what's going on. It's funny though, those tough times, the things that I went through, the 7 months rehab that I went through to get me back to where I am now, which is obviously a person who can move their arms just fine and move the top half of their body just fine. Those challenges made me into the person I am today. I'm going to leave it just there for now, and I'm going to introduce you to Adam and his backstory, and we'll revisit this in a minute.
Fantastic. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam, and thank you very much for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here. So I was born 29th of June, 1982. It was a Tuesday. I was born a little bit differently to Tash. I was actually born with my disability called spina bifida, excuse me, which is a neural tube defect. So 30 years ago, spina bifida has been fairly common over the years, so a lot of you may or may not have heard of it. With spina bifida 30 odd years ago, there was no way of telling before a child was born if there was going to be anything wrong, so to speak. So I came out. These days you have things like amniocentesis. They simple as a blood test as well, before they go down that way, can tell whether your child has spina bifida or a number number of other things going on. So 30 years ago, though, as I say, there was none of that. So I came out, I'm like, hey, I'm here.
Your poor mum.
And my mum and dad, yeah, exactly. My mum and dad were none the wiser. My parents were told, take him home, look after him, and he'll probably won't have a great or a long life. This was 38 years ago. So from there, Mum and Dad took me home. I had at the time they lived in a two-story house in Springwood on the south side of Brisbane. My parents very soon realised that a child that was going to be in a wheelchair or is in a wheelchair was a very bad idea in a two-story house. And so we made the move to the Gold Coast soon after. And that's where I've been ever since and absolutely loving it. I was very, very lucky. I went to the same primary school my whole life and the same high school my whole life. Primary school, it was a big school of just over 1,000 students. I was the only child in a wheelchair, or any child with any sort of physical disability that I remember anyway. So it was very much a case of me being the only person with a physical disability and being very well known within the school because, hey, I stuck out, I had a wheelchair. So fast forward a little bit until I was about 7, I got into disabled sport. I started out as a swimmer. I swam up until the time I was about 12 or 13 years old and enjoyed that a lot. Eventually got sick of staring at a black line in the middle of the pool. And one day, I'll remember this very clearly, a very good friend of mine was just getting into wheelchair racing and had his old racing wheelchair there and said, do you want to give it a go? And I jumped in it. And that was it for me from that point on. I was a wheelchair racer, come hell or high water. And that's what I did up until, I'll talk about that more a bit later, but I did that up until my very early 20s. And then retired. I retired from racing in about early 2001, 2002.
And why was that? Why did you retire?
I retired basically because I was like any 20, 21, 22-year-old and decided that going out with my friends and partying, and there might have been members of the fairer sex.
Yeah. A fairer sex.
Fairer sex, yeah, absolutely, that were taking priority over sport at that time. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
So I guess for both of us, the things that have brought us to where we are today in our journey is that we take on goal setting as a very, very significant part of our challenge. I guess the point is, without goal setting and deciding that you're going to make some changes in your life, you can't actually take any further steps towards what you want. For myself, I had been in bed for pretty much 10 years, the best part of a decade, trying to deal with the pain and the changes in my life. But I soon started to realize that, you know what? Disability doesn't have to be the end of the story. In fact, it's just the start. My life is so much better now than it ever was.
It's because she knows me.
Well, I mean, yes, obviously. But it's really important to understand that making those changes, having a little nugget of inspiration, a bit of vision, and actually taking the steps towards working towards them can actually change your life. So many people talk about goal setting and as a bit of a buzz term, you need to set goals, you need to make those changes. However, it really, really, really does make a difference. Those baby steps can take you from being where I was, not really doing much with life, to, achieving your dreams and really, really making a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The important thing, particularly through going through sport, right through a very large part of my life, obviously goal setting has been a major, major part of that. And a couple of things really that I've learned is have the small, medium and large goals. Going straight to large goals and not having those little increments to get there is a really, really hard way to do it. Second of all, it's really, really important to understand that your path to your goal will not always be the way you set it out to be. So
be flexible and be willing to adapt.
Yeah, adapt. I was going to say pivot, and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to use that word. But
too much of it recently.
Understand that the journey will change. You could have the best laid out plan, and it will change one way or another.
It doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. Change is good. And having the ability to adapt to change is a great thing. Using your challenges to shape you, to help you move forward and work towards the things that you want to in life, that's not a bad thing.
And a few bumps in the road makes it interesting and in a lot of ways can make it fun as well.
Hey, without the bumps in our roads, we wouldn't have been able to sit here and tell you guys our story right now.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So I guess now I'll talk a little bit about where I am today and what my goal setting has led to, and how, I guess, focusing on my present in order to build a better future for myself, I have been able to achieve some wonderful things and have the best life imaginable. So after 10 years of being in bed, this stuff truly blows my mind, and I'm very, very proud about where I am and what it's come to, I guess. So as a wheelchair racer, I have literally this weekend just won 3 gold medals at the Queensland State Championships in the 100, 200 and 400. Wasn't my best performances ever, but hey, I've been unwell recently, so I'm willing to accept that I did well to even get to the start line, let alone anything else. I'm last year's Queensland State Champion too. I have won the Auckland Marathon. I was a Commonwealth Games baton bearer for the Queen's Baton Relay. That was an experience. Especially as I was attacked by ducks the day before, which actually broke my wheelchair. So what you can see on my baton leg is me going in zigzags down the hill.
It's kind of hilarious.
It's hilarious, especially as you can hear the news readers on the news laughing at me about my story. So I also spoke at the Commonwealth Games medal unveiling. First time I'd ever spoken publicly in front of 1,000 athletes, dignitaries, VIPs. Scariest experience of my life, but it brought me to here. It brought me to being quite comfortable on stage and being quite comfortable speaking to each other, speaking to people, and I guess sharing my story and wanting to inspire and empower, and those things I never would have been able to do had I have not been through that. So I guess part of my life now is, yes, I'm a wheelchair racer. Yes, I'm a business owner. Okay, so I've been an awards finalist and I've written a book and all those things, but I actually get to go out and enjoy life. We kayak, we indoor skydive, we take up any challenge that is thrown our direction, just because I have got to make up for so much wasted time. Like, so much. I want to enjoy every single moment of my life, and I'm damned if I'm going to do it any differently.
So a little bit about me today and where I'm at today. So after as I mentioned before, I gave up wheelchair racing and competitive sport, I guess you could say, in about 2001, 2002. My issue was I continued to eat whatever. At the time I could eat whatever I wanted because I just burned it off because I was training twice a day, 6 days a week. My issue came where I continued eating that much but wasn't actually burning it off.
You still eat that much?
I do still eat that much, I do. And absolutely still loving sport. Didn't particularly want to go back to racing, but still wanted to be involved. I decided that my next path was going to be becoming a personal trainer, which I am now a fully qualified personal trainer. And I also am a wheelchair racing coach, and I get to coach this awesome human being right here. So very, very proud of
We have a very intertwined relationship.
We absolutely do.
Business partners, friends, coach, athlete, yes.
Absolutely. So I got back involved in sport in that way, and that got me sort of back to being fitter and healthier. And as a wheelchair user, really, really important, keeping the extra weight off the shoulders. Obviously, your shoulders are not made to lift your entire body weight around, so making sure my shoulders were in check and I was doing what I could to look after myself is really, really important. On the 6th of January 2017, I also became a dad. My son Fletcher, who is the absolute universe, my absolute universe, he's the best thing ever. And I've now been married for what have I been married for? 11 years now. Yeah, thank you. I've been married for 11 years now to my beautiful wife, Christy. So I did that. I also, but thanks to, the ability for us to be able to, train and things together. Tash and I both get out on kayaks. I love kayaking. I love being out in the water. I grew up on the Gold Coast, so you have no choice but to be around water. So going out in boats, going out in kayaks, all that sort of thing, paddling, and being able to incorporate an exercise regime into that as well has been perfect.
So I guess a big part of our lives, and every person's life, regardless of whether you have a disability or you're completely able-bodied, is learning to embrace your challenges and adapting to them so that you can overcome them and move past whatever could be perceived as a challenge at that time. I think we do that really well. I feel that had I not made the decision to embrace my challenges, I wouldn't have been the strong, resilient person I am today. And I guess it all leads to being resilient, and that's not always easy. I guess with every action, there is an equal reaction. So it means that a negative or a challenge which could be perceived as negative can always be turned into a positive. Life won't always be a bed of roses. That's a given. Everybody has their challenges. Your challenges may be different to mine and Adam's, but if you allow yourself to see it in a positive way, if you allow yourself to see the possible outcomes that could happen because of those challenges, life could be amazing.
Absolutely. I always say, leave the past in the past. Take from that. There's obviously, there will be negative things that happen. That's just the way it is. But take from those negatives a learning lesson to spur you on into and help you to embrace those challenges into the future. As a person growing up with a disability, I was in and out of hospital constantly, surgeries, all that sort of thing. And so, you use those, they're horrible times and, hospital and all that sort of thing, but you use those experiences to learn from life and use them as life lessons to help you out in the future.
I guess the way I like to see it is choose to focus on the light, not the dark. Choose to turn the dark into light, and then build on the life you always wanted, because at the end of the day, you are the only person that can do that. There's nobody else that is capable in your life of making those things happen. So it's all about what's going on in your head. Think as positively and optimistically as you can, given your situation, even if that's only seeing what could happen in future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess your reaction will always be the defining factor in where your life may head. My decision after 10 years of being in bed to go out and start doing marathons, and yes, it was a crazy journey. I literally just sat there one day and said, you know what, I've had enough of this life. I've had enough of being in bed. I have had enough of living a life where I'm just sitting in bed watching TV 24/7. And at that point, I couldn't even get myself off the bed into my wheelchair unaided. So it's crazy to think how far I've come now. But 12 months later, I did my first marathon. And that is because I learned to figure out that my mindset and the way I felt about myself, the way I feared my new life and disability and what it meant for me, was actually preventing me from achieving what I'm obviously capable of. So it really makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there will always be aspects of your life that make you sit up and think, and maybe change the way you're doing things. For me, as an example, back in 2018, I got very, very unwell. I had a 1-year-old at the time, and it was just on 1 year old, and I became very, very unwell. My kidney shut down, both kidneys shut down. And third day in hospital, my doctor came in and said to me, he said, "You're very, very lucky you came to hospital when you did." He said, another maybe 1 or 2 nights at home, you were just going to go to sleep and probably not wake up. And for a new dad, and someone who loves life as much as I do, that was a very, 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 very scary thing.
And you never would have had the chance to meet me, and that
this is
terrible.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, but since then, it's the kick in the butt that you need, or that I needed, to reevaluate and think about what's important, and not sweat the small stuff. Yeah.
So I guess this all leads into where we are now and what we're doing now. So at Invincible, we are all about empowering and making a difference, and our goal setting and our resilience and our ability to adapt is taking us to, I guess, on a really unexpected path. At Invincible and Invincible Aid, we do accessibility consulting, we do motivational speaking, diversity and inclusion workshops, awareness training, education on disability, team building workshops, advocacy. It's all about making the perceptions of disability and what that actually means, and kind of relieving people's fear and, I guess, unconscious biases about what disability actually is, and what that means for people, because each and every person looks very, very different. Just because one person lives one way with a disability doesn't mean that somebody else is able to. So, we really want to change people's perceptions, because there's too much judgment in this world, and there's too much misinformation out there, especially in the media.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess that's pretty much us and what we're all about. If you guys do want to contact us, we both have our own websites. I'm at tashaprice.com.
adamshepherd.com.au. That's SHEPPARD, because there's 4 million different ways of spelling it.
And we have the Invincible website, which is just invincible.co. You can also visit us on Instagram. I am the _invincible_woman.
And I am the _real Adam Shepherd.
Yes. So please come along and follow us, say hi, come and talk to us about any questions you may have about disability, living a resilient life, or just, if you're wanting somebody to chat to, we're pretty open books and pretty good people.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, well, maybe that's not the end. Maybe we can talk for a little bit longer.
Amazing. That was extraordinary. I was just pressing buttons in the background going, add myself to stream. Okay, so here we are. Wow, so many phenomenal comments coming in for you guys. Everyone is just blown away by your story. Here's another one here. Julie Walker-Farrow. It's awesome to see how positive you both are despite what challenges you faced. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiration. And wow, it just goes to show what is possible, right? And,
exactly right.
People make excuses for all sorts of things, right? And you are both shining examples of
exactly. Don't let your experiences define you unless it's definition in a good way.
Absolutely.
Yes, beautiful. I love that. Now, I just saw the movie yesterday, Penguin Bloom. Have you seen it?
Haven't seen it yet, but it's definitely on the list of stuff to see. Absolutely.
So powerful. Such a powerful
Incredible
Australian
story.
film based on a true story of Sam Bloom, who had a fatal accident in Thailand and ended up unable to walk, and then became a champion kayaker after that, after going through all the turmoil and befriending a beautiful magpie, an injured magpie called Penguin. It's such a beautiful story and so well done. Yes. Such a great story. So definitely see Penguin Bloom. It will really inspire you.
Yeah.
So powerful. So thank you so much. We have some amazing other speakers in the green room, so we'll bring them in. Is there anything you want to say before we introduce our next speaker?
Probably just a takeaway from me, and this is coming as me putting my parent hat on. Being in a shopping centre, a lot, and you have young kids, my son's age, 3, 4, that sort of thing. They're like, everyone's like, hey, mum, dad, there's that man in that wheelchair, and you often turn around and you'll see the parent,
looking horrified.
Absolutely horrified, and wanting to, it's like they want the earth to open up and swallow them, sort of thing, because they're that horrified. Just from a personal point, and I know you feel the same way, it's really, 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 really important that we allow our kids to explore that. Tash and I love that because we take the opportunity to go up and introduce ourselves. We'll give the kids a high five or, fist pump or whatever, and we get talking to them. Because
it normalizes things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Kids learn from that. That's their learning experience. Mm-hmm. Don't make them afraid of people in wheelchairs. Don't let them be afraid of disability, because that's what will happen if you drag them away and ultimately give them the impression that the person with a disability might bite their head off just for asking a question. We're not ashamed of who we are. We want to be able to talk and educate, and that's the case for most people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. One of the most inspiring people that I love is a guy called Nick Vujicic, who you probably know.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He was born with no arms and no legs, and he's one of the most inspiring speakers I have ever seen. Just absolutely extraordinary. And whenever I find myself going into a dark place or having a whinge about something, I'll put a Nick Vujicic video on from YouTube, and I'll just go, I've got nothing to complain about, right? How does this guy do what he does with no arms and no legs?
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
yes, so inspiring. Thank you so much once again, and keep up the great work. We look forward to following you on social media and supporting what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. We'll bring Melissa Groom in here now. Hello, Melissa. Isn't this amazing so far?
Yes, my heart just swelled and swelled and swelled, so much bigger. I mean, I think it's going to explode before the end of the day with all these incredible people out there. So yes, it really does bring you back to gratitude, which I know that you often speak about, Old One, is that whenever we're having a blue day or not feeling so good, really just coming back to being grateful for, like you said, the fact that we're even alive, and every day is an opportunity to clean the slate and start over. And really that's what we want to encourage you today, is that not be defined by your past. Yes, it shapes you into the incredible, strong, resilient person that you are today, but just be open to the opportunities that you can create for yourself when you surround yourself with incredible people like our speakers today.
Yes, absolutely. I just
want to say a big shout out to Old One, because she's the most incredible, giving, loving person, And I couldn't have put this event on without her. She's got all the technical skills and knows how to do things with her eyes closed. And does many interviews every single week on social media, spreading good news. So lots of love, and thank you so much for being a part of this summit today.
Thank you, Melissa. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And, you know, I will be running off around lunchtime. I've got a funeral to attend, and I just heard in the last week that one of my dear friends and someone that probably a lot of people know, a guy called Cliff Simon from Stargate, he played Lord Baal in Stargate. He passed away at age 58 from a kiteboarding accident. And, you know, it's absolutely tragic to know that a third of people die by the age of 65, and it can happen at any time to anyone. So really, life is about making the most of the journey, right? Enjoying the journey, making the most of life. And, you know, I encourage you watching this right now, if you are inspired to choose to challenge anything, then maybe now is the time. Maybe there's a reason you're here right now, and we would love to hear from you. What do you choose to challenge in your life, in other people's lives? You make an impact every single day with everything you do, whether you realize it or not. And so I encourage you to choose to challenge and to step up. Now is the time. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for that. And I know we have some amazing people in the green room to come, and we're running a little bit behind time, so we'll move on with it, and we'll bring in our next speaker. I'll let you introduce the beautiful Jean Barr. Here she is.
So our next speaker is joining us from New Zealand. Jean Barr is a sales trainer, learning and development, capability development specialist, coach, sales strategist, and consultant. Jean has worked her sales magic for over 38 years in top companies on 3 continents. Jean started her company Top Achiever Sales Training 12 years ago, working with CEOs and their teams who need confidence and competence around the sales process to ensure their business has a 30% increase in sales within 3 months after training. She personally believes that good basic sales training forms the sound basis of any salesperson or sales team, and if you stick with the basics, success is guaranteed. Jean understands the market is ever-changing and its ever-changing trends. Jean coaches and mentors clients all around the world. She has governance experience and is the ex-chair for Governance New Zealand Canterbury branch. In her spare time, she volunteers for victims support and her local fire brigade. Jean's passion is to train ordinary salespeople to become extraordinary salespeople through top achievers, and for them to work from a position of strength to be the best person that they can be and grow top performing teams nationally and internationally. Jean has a business management diploma, a sales diploma, a marketing diploma, and an adult education diploma and an MBA. Jean has brought companies from making $20,000 per month to $2.4 million per month in 10 months. So please welcome Jean Barr.
Morning, everybody from New Zealand. I wish it was as sunny as where you guys are, but it's a little overcast here. So, Melissa, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. So, what I want to talk about today, and that introduction sounded really good. I need to update my bio because I've been in business 14 years as of last week. My passion is about helping salespeople and business owners to understand that we're going through some really phenomenal times, unprecedented times. Our businesses have changed forever and ever, amen. But we need to step up to the plate. We need to change. We need to pivot. We need to have resilience. We need to realign ourselves with our markets, realign ourselves with what's going on at the moment. And for me, 27th of March last year, when we went into 6 weeks of lockdown, which is definitely not what you guys have gone through over there, my business actually came to a complete and utter stop. I had no clients, no speaking engagements, no nothing. And I sat there and I thought, what the heck? And then I thought, all right, so what do I have to do to get up and going? And the three things that I had to do was do what I teach, which is cold calling, catch up with my clients, have a chat with them, engage with them, see where they're at. Have a chat with business owners, have a chat about what their biggest challenges are right now, and what those biggest challenges are, and continue to be, is that mental well-being in the workforce is taking a huge. It's just huge right now, and business owners are finding themselves being mum and dad, good cop, bad cop, business owner, and now psychiatrist. So I'm working with business owners and sales teams and having chats around psychological wellness, because it's just so important that we keep ourselves in a space where we are well enough to engage with our teams, our clients, our suppliers, and everybody around us. And it's just one of those things that we just haven't spoken about that much in the past. So my passion is really and truly about empowering one business owner and one salesperson at a time to get new strategies around sales. For business owners, it's about business advisory services to see where they need the help and the support. My other two passions are around my fire brigade duties. I am a fireman, and yes, there are people that go, oh, how can you do this? You need to be big and strong and all the rest of it. And one of the things that I'm doing is working with other women in other fire brigades, helping them to step into their roles, have conversations around bullying, have conversations about sexual harassment. We're not doing too well with that in our fire and emergency services, which is really sad. However, our Women's Advisory Committee is engaging with government. We've got a new bullying platform document that came through, but it's not about documents. It's about dealing one-on-one with people and addressing their challenges around workplace bullying and around sexual harassment. And it's about working with these people. We have counselors in place that they can go to, but sometimes it's just about talking one-on-one with somebody who's undergoing some stuff, so that they can actually just chat one-on-one with somebody that there's a friend that's not going to judge them, and with somebody who's not going to blab all over town about what's going on, but also inviting them to engage in a forum where they can get the support and the help that they need. And the fire service is actually sorry, apparently I was on mute. I'm so sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, Jean Barr, Top Achiever Sales Training. As Melissa says, I have been in sales and leadership for the last 14 years, and I'm really, really passionate about working with business owners as they engage in a new era. And that new era is about doing business differently. It's about doing business where nothing is the same. Your clients are the same. Your suppliers, your supply chain is different. Your staff are really doing it hard at the moment with psychological wellness, because there've been redundancies. People have lost jobs. They've lost their hours. They're working on one income and not two. And sorry, I wasn't on mute. And moving forward, it's about helping one business at a time, to put strategies in place, to put business. Look at your cash flow, finances, HR, your sales strategy, your products, your services, understanding where all that is. So going back to the firefighting service, going back to where my passion is with the ladies, I really believe that when you have reached a stage in life where you have had some successes, that it's time for you to put your hand down and to help other people up, other women up, other people up. It's also about having conversations with the firefighters in my brigade. 70% of our call-outs are not fire-related. They are car accidents. They are structural fires. They are trees being blown down. They are heart attacks, strokes, suicides. And unfortunately, every single time you get a call out, sometimes you actually cannot erase some of the things that you have seen. One of the things I do as op support for my brigade is I do everything that a firefighter does. The only thing that I don't do is when they put on BA apparatus to go into a structural fire, I'm on the outside making sure that everybody's looked after, they've got oxygen tanks, they're fed, they're watered. We've got teams lined up to go back in after them. So for me, I'm really, really passionate about catching up with my brigade members, seeing that everybody is okay, where they, if they want to chat, debrief, if they need some help. So that's one side of some of the stuff that I do. My other side that I'm absolutely passionate about is victim support. And I've been with them now for 7 years. I started off in general, covering burglaries, homicides, family and sexual violence. And for the last 2 to 3 years, I have been on the bereavement team, dealing with families affected by completed suicides. And my passion is to work with one family at a time, so that they can work through their grief process, they can put things in place as they work through the grief. And it also comes down to the very administrative part of losing a loved one, which is looking at the coronial process, looking at the funeral process, looking at all the stuff that you've got to do after somebody passes away. For example, IRD, calling family, calling friends, dealing with the work, getting the payment sorted, the last payment sorted out. So it's a very, very big job. And my passion is about really supporting one person at a time. It's also about dealing with and calling out the stereotypes around family violence, sexual violence, suicides. Some people just don't want to talk about that stuff. They've been taught through growing up that you don't talk about suicide, you don't talk about family violence or family harm, you don't talk about sexual violence or sexual harm. And it's something that I really believe that we need to work on as one by one person at a time, about helping people to understand that you not only need to talk about it, you need to call it out, and then you need to provide support for those people. So thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you very, very much for being a part of this. My name is Jean Barr, and I run Top Achievers Sales Training. I'm a trainer for sales, leadership, customer service. I'm a coach, business advisor, and keynote speaker. And some of the things that I talk about are motivation, the art of communication, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I love having fun when I talk to people. I love inspiring, motivating, encouraging, and empowering women to stand up and stand out. I also run marathons in my spare time, and the last two speakers have encouraged me to stop my BS and to actually train for my next marathon and not believe in some of the stuff I've been feeding myself about why I can't do my next marathon. So thank you so much to everybody. The website is www.topachieversalestraining.co.nz. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and some other places. If you just want to have a chat to me about your business or sales or anything else that you may be going through, just honestly click on it, have a chat. I'd love to deal with you, not deal with you, work with you through whatever challenges you have. Chatham House rules apply, so what you tell me stays between you and me unless three things happen. You want to hurt yourself, you want to hurt someone else, or you're just not well. So please, love to chat with you. Thank you so much. Aldwin, take it away. Love you lots. Bye.
Thank you so much, Jean. That was amazing. Great to have you with us. Thank you, thank you. And I've just popped your website up there in the chat. There it is, topachieversalestraining.co.nz. Thank you so much for joining us from across the waters in New Zealand. And we do have a packed schedule, so we'll move straight into our next one. Thank you, Jean. All right, so our next speaker coming up, we'll just add her here, Alisa James. Welcome, Alisa. I'm just going to give you a really quick intro, and then we'll need you to unmute yourself. There you are. And I've got lovely comments coming in, loving these powerful, authentic messages, beautiful women. Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. Keep those comments coming up. What are you choosing to challenge? All right, now Alisa. Now Alisa's coming to us from Malaysia. She is a multi-passionate mum of three and a pediatric occupational therapist with over 15 years experience working within Australia, the Middle East, and most recently from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. She loves children's activities and child development, and this led to the creation of whatsonforkids.com.au, an online marketing platform with a reach of 100,000 mums each month for parents and business owners in the children's activities sector. She's also the founder of the National What's On for Kids Awards and co-founder of the Australian Children's Activities Association, which is ACAA. Alisa will share her experiences of working in Malaysia and how she continues to run her companies remotely and hopefully inspire women in business to do the same. Please welcome to our stage here at the International Women's Day Global Summit, the amazing Alisa James. Thank you, Alisa. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Selamat pagi from Malaysia. I am looking out at the moment at a beautiful sunrise. It's still very early in the morning here, and I can see the Kuala Lumpur city skyline, as well as mountains behind there, as well as jungle just at the front. So it really, I do pinch myself sometimes that I do get to live in this amazing country, considering everything that is going on in the world. And we surely have been impacted by COVID in this country as well. So it's really lovely to be here and share some of my knowledge and experiences that I've had from being an Australian, from moving from Brisbane nearly 2 years ago now and coming over to Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is an amazing city. I actually didn't know a whole lot about it before I came here. And for people who aren't sure, it is part of Southeast Asia. It's just above Singapore, so just above the equator. And so we do have a really hot, humid climate. It's kind of like a far north Queensland, and we get big storms, and it's pretty much warm all year round and consistent with that. So it's been a lovely experience being here. And how did I end up here, I guess, is probably how most people start asking me about my experiences. So my husband is a teacher, and we have, as mentioned in the bio, worked overseas before in Dubai and Qatar. And we had returned to Australia when we had our first son in Dubai and felt like we were going to settle back into Australia, that it was really important for us, for our children, to have an Australian childhood memory and grow up in that lifestyle. So we had our 3 children, and then time was sort of ticking by and they were going into school. And we really just felt that pull to go back overseas again. So when an opportunity came up for my husband to work at an international school, we thought that that would be a wonderful opportunity for our children to experience a different culture, to realize how lucky they are of all the beautiful gifts that come from living in Australia, and also to practice their Mandarin and to try new languages, to give us an opportunity to travel throughout Asia, which for families who've got children, particularly 3 children or more, it's a really expensive thing to travel overseas with children. So we just thought it would be a wonderful chance for us to experience all of that. I grew up in country Australia, in southern New South Wales, very country on a farm. So people, I think, probably find it quite amusing. And my husband was the same, that we choose this lifestyle expat choice, but it really does just make us really happy and really grateful to have these opportunities, which teaching can give. So if there's any other teachers out there watching or know teachers, teaching and nursing, 2 careers that there are many opportunities to work throughout the world. So what do I do here? So unfortunately, I am not a lady who lunches. As much as I do love going out for lunch with friends here, the food is amazing. I really was quite busy from the get-go bringing over my business. So when my husband talked about us moving to Malaysia, I instantly thought, but what about my business? How am I going to do something that I created while I was on my maternity leave with my first child? So funnily enough, creating an online business while on maternity leave, one of my most important factors was it needed to be flexible and it needed to work with my family. It needed to be able to put systems into place and to be able to grow and scale. But I still wanted to be able to have holidays with my family, be able to close the computer at night. And all of those benefits that came with creating an online business then meant that I could work remotely, that I could take the business and come over to Asia and continue working. I'm really fortunate in terms of time-wise that I am pretty much Perth time. So I'm still within the Australian time zone period. There is that 2-hour or 3-hour difference. And so that takes a little bit of accommodation, but otherwise I was able to create that. And so many meetings that I continue to have with people back in Australia, they wouldn't actually know that I am in Malaysia. I still have my Australian team of mums who work for me in Australia as well. And so it's been amazing over the past 18 months to be able to see how this could be done and that I can continue running the business. So that's all What's On for Kids. And that also makes up What's On for Travel as well, which is all about family getaways, family travel, grown-up getaways, which has been a little bit quiet because of obvious reasons over the past 18 months. But that makes up my What's On for. And then as mentioned, I then co-founded the association. That came about from the COVID. And as you can imagine, children's activities and events all came to a standstill and stopped. And it was really, really hard to see something that you had built in a community that you had worked with for nearly 10 years now, just came to a standstill. But what it did give me was the opportunity then to create the association, which is much needed by the community to have a voice, to have advocacy, to provide education and training and support. And so again, that is online, it's a membership platform. So I'm really passionate about supporting women who go on maternity leave, want to spend time with their children at home, and want to create a business, that they need something as well to stimulate their brain. I had to learn a whole new skill set of digital marketing and social media because I had come from a very different background. As mentioned, I'm also a pediatric occupational therapist. So I've worked with adults, I've worked with children mostly, but I have worked around the world too. And that's a really big passion for me. But that also all comes around together. So occupation and occupational therapy means how people occupy their time, what's meaningful to them and what's functional to them. And there's so many underlying benefits in child development that are so important that can be achieved through participation in activities. So thinking about art classes and sport classes and swimming lessons, there's social benefits and physical benefits. And so that all really resonated with me as an occupational therapist. So I'm really fortunate as well to be able to work here as an OT in a local clinic. So Our director is Scottish, but the remaining 20 staff are local or from Asia. And so it's just been amazing for them. And I know from the questions they ask me about life in Australia and what it means to be a woman in Australia, that there's just so many benefits to be able to immerse yourself into the country that you live in. And it's made me realize back in Australia how I still had a lot of opportunities to immerse in different cultures. And was I really taking advantage of that and daring to challenge and being brave and putting myself out there back in Australia? It's much easier to do, I think, when you travel to a different country and it's so in your face and you can embrace that. But we've had so many discussions with the young women. I'm at a different life stage to them. I'm married and I have children, and they're all in their early 20s and sort of figuring things out, and they have this access to social media, which is giving them so much information about the world, and it's challenging traditions and challenging beliefs. And there's discussions on marriage, and they ask me how I met my husband and how I knew he was the one, and did we live together before we were married? Bringing up children, how much time to spend with children, how much involvement fathers have with children in Australia. It's really fascinating to listen to those questions and to be able to give perspectives and give places that they can find more information as well. What else? Other things that we talked about? The pressures of study and academics, and how early women should have babies. And they're very career focused, the women who I'm talking to. They've gone and done degrees and they want to study abroad and they want to continue working, and they're trying to figure out then how that fits in with marriage and children, which they want as well. Similar discussions that we would have in Australia. And it really makes me realize how more similar we are than different. But I have really noticed as well this term that's come about of white privilege. It's really made me recognize how that can make a difference, and how where the people who penned that term, where that was coming from and what that felt like. It's been very noticeable that we will sometimes get waved through security checks as a Western family, or our bags might not be checked, or we'll be at a hotel and someone won't question why we're there, whereas they might question somebody else of a different nationality. We haven't had difficulties getting our leases for our rentals or buying cars and things like that. It definitely, being able to say you're Australian really does mean a lot in some countries like this that are developing. And I can see how hard that must be for other nationalities to see how we can sometimes get this free pass. I've also been really challenged at initially going into the big shopping malls, huge malls with designer stores and marble floors and chandeliers really over the top, and just a sea of people, all of which were majority Asian oriented. And I didn't see another Western person, and it really stood out to me at the start. And I questioned myself why that even was a thing. But then on the flip side, I recognize how immigrants and refugees coming to Australia, how important it is for them to be able to find people that they recognize, and how important it is for women to see, for young girls to see women in sport representing them and their color and their race and their religion. It really did highlight how important that was. So despite, being around a lot of people, you can still feel really isolated. And that's been a lot that's been challenging me with the first move of being here. And so I guess in terms of the International Women's Day slogan, To Dare to Challenge, I'm just going to finish then with sharing 3 things that I have really done to challenge myself over the past 18 months of moving over here, and just in life in general. The first one then is I haven't been afraid to walk away from something good in the hope to find something great. And what I mean by that is, you can have a life in Australia where things are good and you've got a good job and you've got good friends, but there can still be something more in your life that you need. And it's okay to go and try to find that. It's okay to walk away from something that seems like that good, dependable job. And we both did. My husband had a permanent job at a great school. We had great family and friends. And I think sometimes expats are running away from something or trying to avoid something. But it's okay to actually take stock of your life and think, things are good, but they could be great. And what would that great be? And how can I make that happen? And that's definitely been something that I have done. I've had to get comfortable with not knowing. coming from, you know, studying a bachelor's, very evidence-based, it's a science degree. I very much had drummed into me that things needed to be evidence-based, that it needs to be researched, that they need to be certified. And slowly as I've gotten older, I've recognized there's actually a lot of wealth of knowledge and opportunities through listening to people's lived experiences and hearing stories, that not everything needs to come from a journal, that not everything needs to be a report, and that it's okay to start somewhere, and that you don't need to be an expert overnight, that there's a lot of pressure to have all of these skills and to have all of these things, but you can actually be an advocate and be passionate about something, and that can be a really great place to start. And then the last one then is just putting things out there to the universe and making things available for people around you to know that they are your dreams. We had never really talked about wanting to be expats again, and going overseas. And it wasn't until probably 12 months before we did end up coming over, which was completely out of the blue, we started sort of talking to each other first about it and saying, what would that look like if we did do that and go overseas? What would that mean for the children? And I was coming back from a holiday with a group of women from Vietnam, part of the What's On for Travel business. I remember just looking out the window, flying back into Australia and just thinking, gosh, I miss this. I miss that expat feeling. It just feeds my soul. And I do love that experience. And I can't explain it. It's something I just can't put into words to say why I do love that so much. And it was literally within 2 months that my husband got offered the position to come over to Kuala Lumpur, a country that we had never thought about before, that we'd never thought at before. But we just took that leap of faith. And you know what? It has been great. It's been such a great experience. And despite COVID and its impact on everything else, we've had the most amazing, incredible family time together that we never would have had. And we're constantly saying we will look back at this time and talk about this time with fond memories. Hard as it is in the moment, it's been such an amazing experience. So I hope that has inspired people to travel, for women in business or for women thinking about going into business, that, you know, online businesses can create so much opportunity and flexibility and enable you to be the mum that you want to be, the parent, the dad that you want to be, as well as being able to do something that financially contributes, that brings value. So yeah, I hope that has been beneficial for today. Oh, and if people want to find me, hello. If you want to find me, then I am on LinkedIn as Alisa James. If you're on Instagram and you'd like to find me and my Malaysia photos, you can find me at Alisa James as well. Otherwise, the platforms are What's On for Kids, What's On for Travel, and the ACAA.
Fantastic. That was amazing. Elise, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Malaysia. I know there's questions here in the chat about how your children enjoying KL, etc. So please pop your answers and questions, pop it all in the chat.
I'll go back and answer those. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. I know we're on a really tight schedule and we have Chantel Girardi in the green room and she's flat out, this lady. She's going after back-to-back appointments. So I'm going to get out of the stream. And thank you so much again, Elise, and I'll allow Melissa to introduce the amazing Chantel. Thank you, Elise.
Thanks, Elise. Okay, so Chantel Girardi has a diploma in social media marketing and is an award-winning Facebook strategist who empowers business owners with the skills and strategy to grow their business using Facebook. Facebook saved her business and she went from a broke business owner in a new country with 3 young children to now abundant in business using Facebook. She empowers business owners who have no marketing budget to create an income-producing strategy using Facebook. Chantel was voted top 100 coolest companies in Australia 2018 and received 2 international business awards for out-of-the-box marketing for startups, a finalist in Telstra Business Awards, and she has been featured on Channel 9 News. She's passionate about helping business owners gain Facebook skills to succeed in business. Take it away, Chantel.
Thank you so much for having me on here today. I am so super passionate about inspiring women to be able to be better for themselves, for their families, for everyone else. And it all starts with investing in yourself. So a lot of people will remember me moving to the Gold Coast 12 years ago, often crying. In fact, Melissa Groom was one of my very first mentors, and I cried a lot, almost at every meeting that I went to, because I was so incredibly stuck in what I was doing. I just moved to a brand new country. In South Africa, I had paid off cars, paid off houses. I knew people. I had support from my family and friends, to then move to a new country and have to start all over again with absolutely nothing. My husband at the time, he was on a job transfer, so he was working and I was looking after my 3 daughters, who were then under the age of 5 years old. However, in the first 2 years, he was actually made redundant twice. And that was highly stressful because there was no Centrelink. There was no, there was no additional income to fall back on. Nobody knew me. I had no friends or family here in the Gold Coast. So I had no support at all. And then have to be able to feed the family and to start a new business when nobody knows you was incredibly stressful. What I did know was that I had an incredible passion for being able to help people. And at that stage, I've been in the personal training industry for, I think, 12 years at the time. And I just wanted to help more people, all right? We all have a passion. We all want to help people. But how on earth was I going to, in a saturated industry on the Gold Coast, how was I going to get my message out there? How was I going to be able to get my branding out there, especially when I didn't have a marketing budget? And like I said, Melissa Groom was one of the first meetings that I did go to, and it was certainly helpful. So what I learned from this whole thing was that at the end of the day, we need to invest in ourselves, and we need to invest in ourselves to do better and to be better. One of the things that I love to always focus on, and it was something that I learned actually as a school teacher many years ago now, was to follow the SPICES formula. So it's an acronym. And the S stands for socially. So socially, have a look at where you are right now. Look at the circle of the people that you surround yourself with, and then consider who do you need to step away from and who do you need to step more towards, and make sure that you have a socially fulfilling and inspirational community. The P stands for physical. Physically look after yourself. That's not a hard one for me because I love exercising, and that's kind of where I get my happy endorphins from. But physically look after yourself, and that relates to your health and wellness, obviously, as well. But be sure that you get out, exercise, and spend a bit more time doing that. The I is for intellectually. So often you hear people talking about how they need to outsource it. If they're not good at something, just outsource it. The reality is that many of us don't have a marketing budget, and we don't have the finances to be able to outsource it to somebody who's going to give the respect that it deserves. Because if you can only afford peanuts, you're going to get peanuts. So if you're going to outsource it, you want to make sure that you can outsource it to somebody who's going to do it well for you. And that usually costs a lot of money. So as business owners, we often don't have that when we're starting out. So what I like to say is, from an intellectual perspective, it is better for us to invest in ourselves to be better in our businesses, to be able to be better business people, to be able to learn and understand what a business owner is and what we need to be better at in our business, so that we don't just outsource it or rebrand or give it away to someone else, but we actually get used to the roller coasters that come with being a business owner, and we learn to ride that roller coaster and become better in those things and become skilled in those things, because there's a huge community of valuable resources everywhere, especially if you surround yourself with good people. Now, the C is creative. And for me, again, that's not a hard one because I am a creative person. But a lot of people, when they're starting out in business, they just sit down from morning to night. And from a fear perspective, they are, just trying. And they're not taking the time to actually be creative, enjoy what they're doing, and play a little bit more. Because from that, you'll actually create amazing, wonderful things inside your business. The E is for emotional. So take care of yourself emotionally. Again, make sure that you are emotionally sound and that, again, you have a wonderful supportive community around you who can help you through anything that you may be struggling with. And the last one is S, and that is spiritually. So spiritually, what are you doing? Are you taking time out to connect with whatever? so that you can actually stop trying so hard, but have faith and belief in what you do bring to the world and to the purpose that you have, and make sure that you take that time, so that if you are in those those weak moments where you're feeling disempowered or you're feeling like you're stuck, that you don't constantly keep like dredging forward, but you actually step back a little bit and tap into the spiritual side of things as well. So for me, one of the biggest things was decluttering from things that do not serve you. And that could be anything. It could be decluttering your friends list on Facebook, decluttering from Facebook groups that aren't serving you, for groups of people that are not helping you to advance the way that you'd like to advance. And then make sure that you create space inside your diary to put things in. As a mother, as a partner, and as a person, really. Because I think for me, the hardest part when I eventually left my husband was that I didn't know who I was outside of being his wife and outside of being a mother of 3 children. And I had to tap into who I was and what I actually wanted from my life, which is incredibly important because it all starts with you. And in fact, even with my Facebook strategies, I always go, it starts with you. What are you exactly wanting to achieve? What is your personal brand? What is your privacy settings? And how are we going to do, how are we going to feature yourself on social media? Because that's important, right? Your privacy is important. Your personal branding is important. But a lot of people, especially women, they just lose touch of who they are and how they want to be seen in this world. The next one is that whenever you're using stuff inside your business, make sure that you get to know whatever it is that you're using. So if you're using Facebook, if you're using social media, if you're using payment gateways, if you're using an email marketing thing, whatever it is that you have inside your business, take the time to read the instructions. You know, when they send you like the little setups and they send you like start with this and have you read this, and actually don't rush through it, but take the time to get to know those platforms so that you can use them effectively inside your business. And I'm not a techie person, not a big fan of things, but one of the most beneficial things that I've done inside my business is make sure that whatever software that I'm using, get to know that software, take the time to read the instructions, because it certainly will help you. Now, one of the biggest things for me that I use all the time is the S word, which is strategy. So early on when I created my business and I transitioned into becoming a Facebook coach, I called myself a coach, and then I transitioned to strategist, because the reason I did that was I understood that if you know how to do something, and if you know how to do something and you're doing it, if you're doing it but you don't have a strategy, it's not going to result in paying customers. And at the end of the day, as a woman in business, it's important that whatever we are doing, especially for your business, results in paying clients. It results in you being able to feed your family. So it's not a case of just being visible, and it's not a case of just giving your value to the world. But at the end of the day, what is your overall strategy? What is your overall intention? And that intention is to be able to be remunerated for your gifts to the world. So whatever it is that you do, it's an energy exchange, and you deserve to be paid. You deserve to be paid and to be remunerated financially for that. And the reality is that if you do get paid, you're actually be able to help more people, and you're able to be of service to more people. So for me, having a strategy in whatever it is that you do with inside your business is super, super important. And it all ends in money. How much money do you want to earn inside your business? And then work backwards from that and go, well, what product or service can I sell? How many do I need to sell? And who actually wants to buy it? And that's basically how an income producing strategy is. And so many women right now, they want to help more people, and they just give it all away for free. But if you have a strategy, and you have the confidence in your ability to be able to help more people, you can help more people by being remunerated. And the good news is that when people pay for things, they value it more. And I'll use the example of in the fitness business. If I had an eating plan and I gave it away for free to someone, they wouldn't follow that eating plan. Whereas if I charged the world for that eating plan and I gave it to them, you'd find that they'd follow that eating plan, because it's like, I've paid for that eating plan, I'm going to follow that plan. So it's incredibly, it's a good example, and it's incredibly important to understand that people will value you and your service a lot more when they do pay for it. But of course, it is important for you to give value as well. So at the end of the day, you can do it. You have it inside you to do it. And whatever's holding you back right now, go and find out what that is and get help with that thing. Because chances are you are incredibly good at so many other things, and we cannot be good at everything. So that's the first thing. Realize you're not good at everything, but the things that you're not good at, go and get help. Go and invest in yourself so that you can be better in those things. It is possible. It's completely possible. But the thing is, if you continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result, it's not going to change. So we need to work out what is not working, and we need to step away from that. You know, it's the same as when I stepped away from my marriage. It's a case of looking at, is it serving you? Is it truly what it is that you want? What do you want? And becoming clear on that. And then stepping away from the things that aren't serving you and stepping more into the things that you want to do. And guess what? Usually it's going to be uncomfortable, because change is uncomfortable. So the sooner we can get used to the roller coaster ride of life, and they're going to be knocks. And when those roller coaster rides come, instead of crying like I did for probably about a year, every time that happened, now I kind of go, well, this is cool, because on the other side of this, I'm stepping into something great. And with every challenge that I have, it's a growth opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It means I'm getting closer to my goals, and change is uncomfortable. So we do have to get used to it. So I'm Chantal Girardi, social media coach and award-winning Facebook strategist. And you can connect with me on www.chantalgirardi.com.au. But more importantly, what I really want you to take away today is that you can do it. Don't be so quick to give it away. Don't be so quick to doubt yourself, but rather empower yourself.
Fantastic. That was brilliant, Chantal. So many gems. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. You're amazing. I've seen your business just flourish since I've known you as well. Extraordinary. And I can see you're very passionate about what you do, and that's why so many people love you, and you're doing so well. So thank you so much for what you bring. Any final words to share before we introduce our next guest speaker today?
Yeah, 100%. Woman, you have got this. You seriously have got this. And if you are feeling down right now, go get a journal and write down how you see your life, how you see tomorrow, and just focus on that. And then find people around you, and find books, and find YouTube videos, and find anyone else around you right now to help you with whatever it is that you're struggling with.
Yeah, love it, Chantal. Love how positive you are. Amazing. Thank you so much for all the great work you do, and for being with us today. I know how busy you are and you have to run off to your next appointment. So, so we'll let you go now. Thank you so much once again. It's brilliant. And do connect with Chantal. Thank you, Chantal.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon. And our next amazing speaker is the beautiful Annette Hurley. And I'm going to introduce Annette now. We are on a tight schedule today with our 20 speakers at this phenomenal event Melissa Groom has put together, International Women's Day Global Summit. You're at the end of the morning session now. We're almost wrapped up with our morning session, and then we'll have an afternoon session going through till 4 p.m. Queensland time and 5 p.m. Sydney time, and some phenomenal people in the green room. Now, Annette, this amazing lady, I have actually worked with her one-on-one myself, and she's extraordinary. And this is a little bit about her. She's a metaphysical master and intuitive career coach. Annette has over 30 years career coaching and recruitment experience across a broad range of industries and professions. She has established and successfully runs 2 recruitment agencies, career coaching companies, and has also owned a registered training organisation, or an RTO. Annette often donates her time via community service to universities, schools, professional and community groups, and radio programs. She has over a decade of experience in higher education, working as a tutor and university lecturer, and she has comprehensive background also in corporate training and development. A combination of life, academic, business, metaphysical mastery skills Equip Annette with the ability to assist people from all walks of life across a broad spectrum of careers, including supporting creatives, executives, business owners, and aspiring entrepreneurs. Her vision is to help create peace on earth, peace within self in the workplace and in our homes by empowering people to find their purpose, break free of limits, and live their dream life. Learning to love ourselves and using our unique gifts and talents to live a happy and more fulfilling life. Thank you so much for joining us, Annette. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Olwen. What an amazing group of ladies this morning, and most certainly led by our most beautiful Melissa Groom and Olwen. Such an honour to be included. Many things that I wanted to share with you, but taking the lead from Melissa. Melissa asked me what is the one thing that I would like to share with women for Women Rising International Women's Day. And then also Olwen suggesting this morning that what we really need to do is to tell our stories. I started out as a very young entrepreneur, and there was a lot that I didn't know and a lot that I didn't know about business. I didn't come from a business family, and I didn't know about business. All I knew is that I had an entrepreneurial spirit from a very young age, and also leadership. So I'd been in business for a number of years, in fact, 10 years, and was relatively successful in that time. However, what I did learn around the 10-year mark is that when I was in fear, my business would be in business, fear would be in business too. I think I mixed that up. So what I mean is that if you are personally in fear, then you take yourself to your business. You take all of your limits to your business. You take anything that is holding you back, and it will reflect there. Now, some of these things you may be aware of and some you may not be aware of. This led me on a journey of self-discovery. I crashed and burned. I spent a couple of years in bed. The doctors couldn't cure me. And I needed to learn out myself how to cure myself, because I wasn't going to be confined to bed and a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I was in my early 30s at the time. And I discovered metaphysical mastery. So what is metaphysical mastery? A lot of people are hearing about the law of attraction and how to manifest things and to get your dreams and all these different sorts of things. That's part of metaphysical mastery. Metaphysical mastery is the science of mind over matter. So what is matter? If you've done science at school, and we all know about this, is that the tables matter, our bodies are matter, everything's moving energy and moving particles. So logically, mind over matter means that if you change your mind about something, you're changing the matter around you. So you're literally creating a reality for yourself. Now, we are doing this all day, every day. Every single thought that we have, we're actually creating our reality. So if we're not creating what we want, then if we are willing to take responsibility, we have the ability to be able to change that. And that's really powerful, because quite often in business, we want to blame people. In life, we want to blame someone else. And if we're not blaming someone else, we blame ourselves. And it really, whatever the blame game is, whichever blame game we're playing, it doesn't work. I'm not saying everybody does this, and I know that there's a lot of really highly skilled and intuitive women in this group, and that's why we're all attracted here. But to take it to a much higher level, it's to realise that consciously or unconsciously, you are literally creating your reality like a TV program, and we can change that. So how do we actually make that in a business? How does that react? How does that affect us in business? When we're in business, what we're doing is we're under someone else's roof when we're employed. But when we're in business, we're under a roof and we're directly creating with the universe. So we want to clean up our thoughts, and some of these are conscious and some of these are unconscious. Now, my job as a careers and executive coach coming from metaphysical mastery is to clear away the unconscious blocks so that you can be creating what you want in your business and in life. Now, to do that, as Chantel said, it can be a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but really at the end of the day, all you're doing is confronting a thought. So everything that's happening around you is because of your thoughts. So in simple terms, all we need to do is to change a thought. But to do that on your own can be really challenging. So to find somebody who knows about this, learn from different people, and also from the different people around us that have areas of expertise, such as Olwen and media, such as Melissa with videos, and all of the other wonderful ladies today. So what are my 3 tips for today? One is to rise, to really rise, and to choose to challenge, mostly just to challenge yourself and to choose to live fearlessly and to go on the journey of what that looks like. The second is to seek out a mentor who knows about this, and it's not just about getting what you want. Most of us want to make a difference. It's great because having abundance is a reflection of your thoughts and your consciousness, but in most instances, and certainly from what I've heard today, everyone wants to make a difference. So it's to get somebody who can support you with breaking free of limits in a loving and secure environment so that you feel safe. It's not therapy, by the way. It's about wanting to be the best version of yourself. And the most important thing of all is be your best advocate, be kind to yourself, love yourself, and enjoy the journey. So that's really my message today. Our thoughts create our reality. We can change our reality no matter what our circumstances are. We take ourselves to business, and if we want to be successful in business, we need to break free of limits and choose to explore our unlimited potential. So thank you very much, ladies. I hope you gained some wonderful tips from today.
That was fantastic, Annette. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Love your wisdom always. And it's really been a great honour and privilege to know you, to work with you, and I've seen how generous you've been with many International Women's Day events over the years here on the Gold Coast. You are extraordinary, and we really love having you in our proximity. So thank you so much, Annette.
Thank you, ladies.
And for people who want to connect with you, Annette, where's the best place to go to?
www.thecareercollege.com.au. But as Olwen says, if you Google my name, you'll find me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Annette. Yay.
Can we just mention the Monday Mindset that you run, Annette, for women in business?
Absolutely. So I have a group coaching as a result of getting some coaching from Melissa. I've started Monday Mindsets, which came out of the lockdown period, and that's for business people. And I also have that at 4 o'clock every second Monday of the month. And then in the evening at 7 o'clock, for those of you who are interested in metaphysical mastery, I have a metaphysical mastery group coaching session as well. And for our younger ones, we have a young adults Monday Mindset. That's for young people. I know we're faced with challenges that we haven't had. And anyone who's seeking employment, there's a job seekers Monday Mindset.
Yes, and you also have our Facebook group, Jobs and Careers. So head over to the Career College Facebook page if you are looking to, reinvent yourself, you're looking for a new pathway, or you have a child or a loved one or a friend looking for work, please share the link with them to that Facebook group on the Career College Facebook page.
Thank you, Melissa. Careers is really important to find something purposeful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Beautiful.
Thank you, Annette. Please pop those links into our comments too, where this is being streamed as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annette. Okay, that was amazing, Annette Hurley. I'm going to hand over now to Melissa Groom. We are streaming this to Facebook, to the Mums in Business Australia Facebook page, also to Media Queen TV on YouTube. So any of those places you can see comments. Comments will not show up from StreamYard into the personal profile, just so that you know. So check out the pages and the channels so you can see all those comments and add to the comments. You can still add comments in the profile. We just can't show it up here. So All right, thank you so much. Over to you now, Melissa, to introduce our next amazing guest speaker, Rose Davidson. We'll add her to the stream. Over to you, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you, Aldwin. So Rose Davidson is young at heart with a no-nonsense, no-fluff attitude. However, a kind and caring heart. Sounds like a bit of a paradox, but explains her perfectly. Rose is a co-founder of Healing Through Love, a domestic and family violence awareness initiative started in Adelaide, Australia. They hold a free annual PAMP Day event for survivors of domestic and family violence. As a survivor of childhood trauma in the form of sexual, physical, psychological, and emotional abuse, Rose knows firsthand the damage this can cause and is trying to bring awareness of these issues to the community. Please welcome Rose Davidson.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to be here. A bit of a blue screen today. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I just wanted to firstly start off by saying that if you live in Australia and you are triggered by my story in any way, please ring Lifeline on 13 11 14. And if you live overseas, then please ring your overseas counselling online providers, because what I'm sharing with you is a bit of a dark story, but at the end there are some really good tips, and it's a story of how I overcame child sexual abuse. So as I said, it's a dark story, and my past did not define my future, and this is my path to healing. I was emotionally, physically and psychologically abused by my father as far back as I can remember, and many times I used to go to school with a black eye or a bruised butt, and back in the day no one ever got involved as much as like it is today. And as I said, I'm also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and my father was the perpetrator of this. So according to Brave Hearts, during 2018, there were over 26,000 victims of sexual assault recorded by police in Australia. And of these, according to a 2019 Bureau of Statistics report, a combined total of 45% were between 10 and 19 years old. And to me, that's absolutely staggering. And I don't understand why sexual assault on children is still allowed to happen in this day and age. So I would like to share with you now how I was a statistic as well. It all started back in about 1969, and at first his game was fun, and he and I used to snuggle up in the lounge room under a blanket during the night, and he would kiss me, and he would touch me in places that used to feel really wonderful. So at that age, I didn't understand those feelings, but I knew I just didn't want him to stop. And then he decided that that we would go more private, and he would do it in the privacy of his bedroom. So in the beginning, the ritual was really great, and I liked it a lot because I felt special and I felt loved, and these were feelings that I didn't have a lot from my father, because he was always such an angry and mean person, basically. So but these Sunday rituals, I started to feel really anxious, and I just didn't like them. And I remember him telling me at one point that all fathers love their children or love their daughters like he loves me. And of course, I believed him because he was my father, and it had to be true. But and then he swore me to secrecy until I was 16. So I agreed. But I soon became really tired of this Sunday ritual, and I became tired of him, and I wanted to spend time with boys my own age, because I wanted them to do things to me like he was doing. But and when the boys asked me how I knew so much about sex, well, I said my father had taught me. So it just went like that, and nothing was said at the time. And then in July 1972, Dad decided to take us to Germany on a holiday to meet his family, and we were all really excited. But the holiday wasn't much fun at all, because the four of us, as my mum, my brother, my father, and I, mostly slept in a huge feather bed, together, and I had to sleep next to Dad. And Mum would never, agree to swap with me as much as I'd ask, because I didn't like sleeping next to him because he used to touch me. And as I said, I was getting tired of him doing it, because I'd figured out by then that it wasn't the right way for a father to act. So I just didn't like it. So our 6-week journey came to an end and we headed back home to Canada. But I figured out that I didn't have any friends anymore, because obviously what I'd been telling the boys had gotten around to my friends, because every time I rang my friends up or went to their house, they, wouldn't talk to me, or, they wouldn't invite me anywhere, or so I ended up being really, really lonely. And then next thing I know, we're moving to Australia. It was like, wow, we've just got back from an overseas holiday and hadn't been home very long, and now we're moving. And, this was in September in 1972, and I lost my virginity to my father when I was 12 in a caravan park in the Blue Mountains, which is a state in New South Wales. And one night after I attended a high school dance, he had picked me up, and I went and sat in the back seat of the car thinking that I would be safe. But he stopped the car somewhere along the road, and he got out, obviously, stopped the car, opened the back door to the car, and he raped me there. And I was absolutely humiliated. And I think that's when my downward spiral into depression actually did start. And when I finally confided in my mother about, when I was about 13, about what was going on, she really didn't do much of anything. But there was a time my father had an industrial accident, and it looked like he was going to die. And so Mum decided that she and I would go to the police station and tell about the abuse. I don't know why she was going to do that, because he was meant to die. So it didn't make any sense, but I went and made the statement anyway. But my father recovered, and so she made me go to the police station and recant my statement. So I wasn't happy, because the police believed me, and I think that's when my anger towards my mother started to fester, really like a thorn in my side. If you know what that feels like, then you will understand that. So my father recovered. He moved back, home with us, and the abuse continued in ways that I don't want to go into, because they were quite painful, and this is not the forum for that. So when I was 14, the abuse stopped, thankfully, because I ran away from home. But I ran away into the arms of a man that who I thought was my saviour, but wasn't. Although he wasn't sexually abusive, he was psychologically and mentally abusive. And during that time, I was arrested for being a minor in danger. And so I spent time in a remand centre. And when I was in there, my mother, in her wisdom, slept with that man. And so that was just another thing that added, fuel to the fire of my anger towards her. So in 1974, we finally went to court, and that was a whole new experience for me, because even though I was sexually aware, I wasn't worldly in matters of, the law or anything like that. So it was a really scary process, and as an already traumatized teen, it was just something that I wouldn't, wish on my best friend. And thankfully, the jury believed me, and my father was sentenced to 5 years in prison, which to me wasn't, long enough, but, that's what they decided. And in 1976, I finally left the man that I thought had been my saviour. So that was a blessing. And I actually went home to my mother, because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and I was still on probation for having to report to the police and stay in care until I was 16. So after that, I just drifted from, one relationship to another. Some were one night stands, some weren't. I just thought that, love, excuse the phone. love was found in sexual relationships. So I didn't know any better. That's how I'd been brought up. So, that's how I continued my life. So I went through some suicide attempts. I went through some serious self-harming behaviour like cutting and alcohol abuse and all this time I was just seeking out, love and acknowledgement and the protection that I didn't receive as a child or, during my teenage years. And everyone just put it down to me being an attention seeker. So no, I didn't receive any help at all from anyone. And so through suffering through all those indignities and heartaches and beatings and my own anger issues, I was angry at my mother, I was angry at my father, and my anger with my mother didn't stop until I was 59. And I was also angry at myself, and I was angry at the world. Why should this be able to happen to me? But I didn't realize it was anger. I just thought I had a bad temper because I'd had a bad temper since I was, 8 or 9. So, I didn't know that it was just anger. I just thought it was a bad temper. And sometimes the angriness, would get so much for me. It would just like blow up, like lava spewing out of a volcano, and I couldn't control it, and I didn't know why. And I'd sit, and cry in a corner somewhere. So it was a really awful experience for others to witness. And in 1987, I went to my father's funeral mainly to make sure that he was dead. And but when his coffin was wheeled behind the curtain, I screamed in anguish. I just wanted to know why. I wanted to know why he had done this thing to me, and and why my life was not like other girls. Why was I subjected to this abuse? And I'd never know because he died, and that was something that I had to come to terms with. But in my 50s, I decided that I was going to do something about my depression and my anger issues. And during that time, I was diagnosed with 3 forms of mental illness. And these things had gone obviously undiagnosed or had been misdiagnosed for all my life. And I also have a really chronic pain condition called fibromyalgia. And this was also brought about by the abuse and the trauma that I had suffered all my life. So and I've been suffering from it for more than 20 years, and now it's become so chronic that they're actually putting me on different types of medication to find out what works, and trying to rewire my brain basically. However, the mental diagnosis did put me on a road to recovery, and I could actually finally see the wood for the trees and the light at the end of the long black tunnel, and I know there's a lot of women out there and a lot of girls out there who have been abused, and some have told their stories and some who may not have, but all of us have endured things that we should not have endured. And for me, the journey's been long and difficult, and I'm still working through my limiting beliefs, and I still don't love myself the way I should, and I find myself it's not a thing that I do easily. And when you're constantly criticized and when you're put down and when you are constantly told you are no good or you're stupid or you need to be more feminine or you're too loud or you're a loser or you must be perfect because coming in second is never good enough, it changes the perspective of how you perceive yourself in the long term. And scientific research tells us that our programming is done in the first 7 years of life. And if the programming is mostly negative, then we as adults continue subconsciously to believe what we are programmed to believe as a child. It's just the way it is. And so I've managed to turn and flip my script around by changing my negative self-talk into positive words, which is the most challenging for me. And every day I struggle with this. And living a life of gratitude is very helpful. And for those that are listening, if you have travelled down the road of sexual abuse, I'm sorry that you've had to travel through that journey, and just know that there are others like us, and you need to go and tell your story. Go and tell it, because, you know, there are people who listen and there are people to care. And I wanted to share with you 3 ways to how I overcame my feelings of anger and worthlessness, and there are heaps more, but these are mine for, you know, and for today. And I just want to remind you that childhood sexual abuse is never the child's fault. It's the perpetrator's fault. And this took me a long time to understand, because I always believed somehow it was my fault that for everything that happened to me. And this has caused those limiting beliefs. But I'm not sure when I found out that it wasn't my fault. I just realised it one day, and that made it a lot better. Holding in your anger causes so much harm to your mind and so much damage, and it does a lot of damage to your body as well. I'm living proof of that. The second thing is to seek help, and don't be afraid to share your story. Sharing your story does help you heal eventually, and don't use alcohol to numb the pain. It does more harm than good. And I must say, I've got to say now that I'm 3 years sober, so I'm very proud of that. And if you have a family member who has experienced abuse, please get them some counselling. After the event is best. Don't leave it for too long, because then they have too long to dwell on stuff, and that stuff needs to get out of their brain as quickly as possible. And lastly, surround yourself with positive people who will lift you up and who will listen to you. And their positivity and light will be your positivity and light. And in my 50s, and it took me that long, I met some wonderfully positive people who have shown me that I am a wonderful person and have a lot to give, and they don't know that they've helped me so much, and they've made me realise that in lies me is a beautiful soul worthy of love. So in closing, just please let me say that abused children are a lot stronger than they realise, and abused children become profilers of others' emotions, because this is how they keep themselves safe. And having brought myself up from the age of 14, I know that I have an inner strength and a resilience that most people don't have. And child sexual abuse does not need to be a life sentence. And if you are a survivor, know that you are never alone. Remember that life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. You can grow, and life is good. And if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at rose-davidson.com. That is my business address. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. So, yeah, and thank you, ladies, for listening, and thank you for this opportunity.
Wow, extraordinary, Rose. The love has just been pouring in the comments. Absolutely extraordinary. And it's just been amazing to hear your story and share your vulnerability. So thank you so much for sharing so authentically with us. You know, authenticity is the new currency, as they say. It's very important to speak from the heart and to share openly. And if you are struggling with anything, seek help, as you say, get counselling, surround yourself with positive people, which of course this environment is full of positive people right here watching this.
Thank you.
It's been
I'll
amazing.
go back and check out the comments later, and yeah, thank you everyone. It's good.
Thank you so much, Rose. It really is an absolute pleasure. Mel, is there anything you want to say to Rose before she leaves us?
I can never do that. There we go. Thank you, Melissa.
So much courage, and you've given so much healing to so many women by sharing your story. Just being totally honest, raw, vulnerable. I hope for you that was healing. I hope for you that was freeing. I hope that for you that was empowering, and knowing that you've gone through your life lessons for a reason. Because I do believe what they say is God only gives you what you can handle. And as tragic as it is, and I resonate with the feelings that you have of lack of self-worth, and why did this happen to me? And you know, it's not fair, absolutely, but we have to be the voice now to open up this conversation.
Absolutely.
If it just lands on one other young woman or even a boy, because it happens to boys too. 1 in 8 boys are sexually abused, 1 in 5 women. Then it really is truly worth it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for every woman.
My plan is to go into schools and educate high school kids on sexual abuse, because that's my plan, to go on a speaking circuit and go to schools and speak on stage to help other survivors.
I wish that someone would have came to my school and have just said, come and talk to me if you need help. There was never, it was always such hush, or even if you did hear about it, it was like, oh, just, he doesn't mean that.
That's correct.
It's okay. Like, just brush it under the carpet like it's a slap on the bum, which is, it's not okay either. But it's time now to just bring it out into the open and not make it that taboo subject.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for letting me share today.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you. You're amazing. We'll see you again soon, Rose.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. And Rose was our last speaker of the morning session today at the International Women's Day Global Summit. We have 20 speakers lined up today, so much that Melissa has organised. Amazing, Melissa. I still am blown away how you do what you do. It's been extraordinary. How have you found the morning, Mel?
I just feel blessed, and you're giving me credit, but it's not about me taking credit for this, Aldwyn. It's just about knowing that there is this opportunity for us to use the technology that we have got here to spread our message all around the world and empower others to find their their full potential, to strip away all the things that have been holding them back, to be grateful for where they are and the opportunities that have shaped them into who they are today. So all of our speakers, they're taking their time out to be here today and to be vulnerable and to be honest with their journey. It's ups and downs and swings and roundabouts. There's no I'm yet to hear a life story that's just been all smooth sailing. We all go through incredible stories, but it's how we respond and react, and whether we choose to be resilient, embrace those challenges, and then become that strong person and that leader. And look, there is nothing about being on a pedestal that I'm better than you because I am healed and you're not healed or whatever. I mean, for me personally, I will say that I'm at a point where I actually do like myself now. I love myself, but that took me, I'm 49, I just turned 49. It took me until I was 43 to love myself. And that was amazing, incredible work that I had done through a modality called Creatrix, which was developed by Maz Sherman from the International Institute of Women. And I've worked with Kirsty Sleep and Ray Skinner, who are both Creatrix facilitators. And honestly, if you haven't experienced Creatrix, it changed my life and my perception of who I am, because I grew up feeling like I was nuclear waste. And it didn't matter how much I scrubbed myself in the shower, how much I journaled, how much I meditated, how much I just prayed and wished that I was somebody else instead of who I was. It wasn't until I actually had that Creatrix modality experience that I actually felt the person that I was born as, absolute pure love. And so I just urge you, if you haven't experienced Creatrix, to look up the Institute of Women and Maz Sherman and the incredible work that they do. And I also want to make a special mention to Marsha Schultz, who is an autoimmune recovery coach, because disease in the body is caused by, or disease in the body is caused by dis-ease in the body. And I also suffered fibromyalgia and a chronic skin condition that I've had for 20 years. It was only after I worked with Marsha as well with her supplements that actually healed me and my skin and gave me the energy really to be the businesswoman that I am today. So just a couple of shout outs there for 2 women that have really helped me, a few women that have actually helped me, or actually there's 4, and then Annette Hurley. Special mention to her because she came into my life last year during COVID, which was extremely difficult for all of us on many levels. And as Annette talked about, she works on a metaphysical level, and just really opened me up to changing the way I think to create a different reality, and taking full responsibility for where I am in my life and what's happening around me by taking responsibility for my thoughts. So, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, Melissa. Lots of love pouring in the comments for you. Our beautiful friend Denna there. We've got Ray. We've got Rosa sending lots of thank yous. Lillian, Tracy, Rebecca, Sandra, so many, Oksana, so many amazing.
How did you feel the morning went? What came up for you, Aldwyn?
Oh, it was awesome. I'm just so inspired. Everyone who shared, I got something from, I'm inspired by everyone who has shared this morning. And it's just so beautiful to have this amazing community around us, and people we can access so easily now with the online world. We have people from Malaysia, from New Zealand, from all over Australia, and it's so cool that we're able to connect in this way wherever we are in the world. And, to facilitate something like this is a real honor and privilege. And, I think the more that we realize that we have some wisdom to share, that we have stories to share, that we are enlightening beings by choice, right? You can choose to, disempower yourself and others. But I think what's very clear today is that we are standing for empowering ourselves and others, for loving ourselves and others, because hurt people, right? And that's what we're seeing, a lot of hurt over the last year with COVID and all the dramas happening in the world. These things we cannot control. We can control who we are, what we do, what we stand for, what we choose to challenge. And please, if you're joining us, what do you choose to challenge? Pop into the comments. What are you challenging in your own life, in the world around us? I will forge positive visibility of women. I love it. Choose to challenge. Hashtag choose to challenge. What are you choosing to challenge in your life? And if you're watching this, I do believe it's for a reason. Please share the love. It is amazing how you impact people every single day. It could even be the person you're buying coffee from in the morning, or, everyone you meet, the postman, everyone you meet, you impact in some way. You're either bringing the energy up or you're pulling it down. You're either appreciating in gratitude or you're depreciating. And we are a stand for appreciating. I'm a stand for truth and good news in the media, to lift people's spirits, to decrease depression, anxiety, and suicide rates, which I've been personally touched by, and I know a lot of people have been personally touched by those things. So whatever it is you're passionate about, you can make a difference. And every little bit counts, right? Everything counts. So the important thing here is not to throw your arms up in the air and say, oh, these issues are so big, like animal cruelty is so big. No, we're all doing something about whatever it is that you can make a difference. You can make a difference by sharing some great content online. By sharing this, you can inspire someone around you. You just never know who you're going to impact by stepping up, by being seen, being heard, being known. The more you step up, the more you inspire others around you to step up, and the more we create a more peaceful and loving world. And there was a strong theme of that this morning around peace and love, self-love, and love for the planet and those around us, and also embracing every challenge as an opportunity for growth. There's always something to learn. There's always a light at the end of every tunnel. There's always a breakthrough at the end of every breakdown, right? So enjoy this journey of life, even though it's a roller coaster and sometimes it's up and down and round and round. Enjoy it and savor every precious moment. So there you go. That's what I thought of the morning, Melissa. It was extraordinary. And I know we've got an even more extraordinary, or, as well, just as extraordinary afternoon coming up. We've got a panel show coming up. We're back again in about half an hour's time now with a panel show. We've got Christina Savka coming up, Tammy Ritchie, Jenny Woolsey, Kelly Kingston, Tracy Horton, Barbie Cawthorn, Emma Waspy, and Oksana Samkova. Some extraordinary speakers coming up this afternoon. So anything you want to say, Melissa, before we wrap up the morning session?
No, just thank you so much for helping us facilitate all of this and putting it all together.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you for all the beautiful comments coming in.
Yes, thank you everyone for your gorgeous comments. Really appreciate it. I'll pop some of them up on the screen there. So we are back in the afternoon in just half an hour's time. So have a quick break and then pop back. The live stream is going to my personal Aldwyn Alternate profile on Facebook. It's going to the Mums in Business Australia Facebook page, and it's going to Media Queen TV on YouTube, the YouTube channel. All right, so you can comment on any of those, share any of those links, and come and join us back for the live stream. And of course, we have different green room links for all our speakers. So you should have been notified about that. If you haven't, reach out to Mel or myself in the next half hour and we'll get you those green room links so that you can come and join us backstage, and we'll bring you into the broadcast this afternoon. All right, thank you so much. Thanks, Dana, for sharing. Dana's choosing to challenge to find new ways to travel, inspire and grow. Fantastic, Dana. Love your work. Dana's awesome. Check her out. Connect with her. And thank you also for everyone else's amazing comments. Please support each other and connect with each other. All right, we're going to end this broadcast shortly. Please pop in the comments. What do you choose to challenge? What do you choose to challenge? And we'll see you back in about 30 minutes' time. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.